So I guess labor agreement reportedly being settled to some degree here with Tesla and the German labor union. To send you back over to Sharif and Joe.
Boom. Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the Midday Show. That's your boy, Joey Options. I'm Sharif. No introduction in Mandarin today. We're gonna do a different one on Monday, but yeah, we're gonna do it live. Let's shout out everybody. Joseph, let's see who's joining us in the chat. Well, I don't want to say bright and early. It's quite late, actually. Let me just pause myself here, Joey. I can hear myself echoing. There we go. We got the crew. Everybody is ready to go. We got the Fluffsters. We got Laurel. We got Hangry Wife. We got Nobody 2310. Mike PD Ryder. We got Saul G. Rex Banner. Sky, our Papa, and Billy Bezos, otherwise known as Jeff Bezos' son. Really? We got D. Dino, Andrew Chow, Lee, the conductor. We got Ash CEO, other Zinks in the house, man. Shout out to Alan, 98311 in Grunfeld, HP Motor Cars. We got the Bhavin Patel. Bhavin, you're bright and early. You must have the day off, my friend. Usually you're joining us a little bit late. It's Birdo C, it's PMAC444. Shout out to Hump Pass. Oh boy, I better be careful with that one. Escape Planet. We got Stone Broke since yesterday, always making me chuckle. Brian Thompson. We got Sarah McCarthy. We got Lopa Fett. Shout out to Andrew Hawkins. Manifest Codes now in City Boy 305. Oshiri. We got Darks. Darren Irvin, something like that. Randy Worms. Let's go. Jake Wesson. One more, Joey.
One more.
Green Saber. Good morning, brother. I was just at the gym, and they were playing the highlights from the Leafs game yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
You probably already know.
Of course.
That was an ass whooping, huh?
Typically how it's going, man.
That was not a good look, Joey. What was it, 4-1, 5-1?
I had them to not make the playoffs at the beginning of the year.
Yes,
all right, guys, let's get right into things. Not a good one here, that's for sure, but we'll give it to you straight. I mean, TTD, missed opportunity. I stared this one dead in the face, and I don't know why I didn't take the trade. Instead, I bugged around with this guy over here, and it caused me a whole world of trouble here this morning. It may not seem like much, but when the volatility's in, it can definitely hit you. So we take 2 losses out of the gate, and then Circle as well, looking for that breakup. Continuation. Now we're at the high of the day, but 3 losses in a row, and that's going to be the end of it for me today, guys. Unfortunately, so we hit that shutdown. Just telling you how it is, and we haven't all month. So yeah, it's unfortunate. We game plan just one small mistake and a lapse, and that's it. So yeah, other than that, guys, TTD. I did have NVDA up here making those continuous lows, and we'll pull that up here. And I don't want to, you guys better not be saying sorry or anything in the chat, because I don't want to hear no sorries, all right? Other than that, NVDA, continuous slide. We talked about that $200 mark and how much open interest and supply was there. I tried to grab some. The first entry, I knew I made a big time mistake. I'm like, no. So I get out, started to form somewhat of a base, and I'm like, okay, we'll give this one more attempt. But my mentality wasn't like caring about the right trade. It was more or less, can I get back what I just lost? And sure enough, that's when you eat it. And that's exactly what happened here on NVDA. The market did curl around, but you can see that this name is still relatively weak. And I knew just from the strength within the lower time frame, these candles were not strong enough in order for us to get a rebound back to VWAP. And it did cost me on today's session. So NVDA on the blacklist for the boy. And I haven't been trading these mega caps for quite some time. But other than that, TQ, Circle, NVDA, TTD was definitely the missed op of the day.
Guys, news from Google. Thanks, Darwin. Blog post from them. Title from Google. Further commentary says, build with Nano Banana 2, our best image generation and editing model. Thank you, Darwin, for that. I use Nano Banana every day. I hope it gets better. Just put it that way. All right, Assassino, let's do this. Everyone, the wait is absolutely over. We are now live at tradertv.academy. We've done the work to get the platform ready, so now it's your turn to step inside. It's time for you to no longer just watch Joey and I trade, the Katina Man and Neil trade, Adara trade, everybody else trade. Learn the foundation that we built everything on, starting at $480 US. Scan that QR code on the bottom right of your screen or check the website out, tradertv.academy right now to get started. We hope you guys like it. We've been putting in a lot of work, needless to say, about this. The back-end boys have been just, you know, they've been putting in a lot of work. Shout out to the back end guys. All right, AEHL. I see you guys are telling me about different ones. Path, Bovin telling me about a different one as well. Where's the OG Bovin there? Where's his comment? Where's his comment? ALBT, he was also telling me about SBEV. We'll get to those, but I'm keeping an eye here on AEHL. It's accumulating, in my humble opinion, in front of that dollar, 97, 95. It's breached the dollar, as you can see, got up to 107, but it hasn't closed above it, and we know the shorts and the profit takers, they're still defending that level, okay? And we're also looking at ALBT. This one's been putting in a pronounced downtrend. I'm waiting for a breach of this downtrend, and then we'll get in long. We'll look at some more. I've got 6 more, but we got to go up to Adara. She's got breaking news.
PayPal dropping sharply here. Semaphore reporting that contrary to prior Bloomberg reports from Tuesday, PayPal and Stripe are not currently in talks. So once again, Semaphore reporting PayPal, Stripe, not in talks. Back to you.
Thank you very much, guys. We'll get to that PayPal headline momentarily. BFLY, another really good looker. Kind of doing the same thing as, what's it called? AEHL, except it's not below $1. It's below 5. 496 high. And as you can see, the accumulation there is followed, or I should say the accumulation is supported by higher lows. I like that chart pattern. We do everything right here. We're above VWAP. We're above the pre-market high. We're at a key area of technical resistance so that we can build a position looking for the breach of the $5 area. So BFLY certainly in focus for me. And there goes DNUT. I was waiting for DNUT to break this downtrend. I don't know, Katina Man, but like, I get it. But DNUT is breaking trend right now, and it is on the way to 4. This was an uninterrupted lower high trend here on the nut. Up 32 3/4, looking to reclaim 4 with a 413 high. It doesn't defend VWAP. What it did do was hold this upper trend line, or this lower trend line, pardon me, with the higher low. So DNUT looking like it might be in play as well. I've got NVAX on there, Assassino, even though NVAX not strictly a small cap gapper. It's moving like one today. I've also got Circle. Circle's basically accumulating in front of 90 in a very similar fashion than it did yesterday in front of 80. Remember, we were talking about this one basically holding up at 80 for the better part of the afternoon. It ended up taking it, of course, and when all was said and done, CRCL ended up closing out at 83. Today, it's doing the dance with absolutely no underwear or pants south of 90. And it's got $90 on the dot. That is the high of the day. So we're going to be looking at CRCL. But we found another one. I didn't really like that leveraged ETF. It was like $2. It didn't move in the way. I think I'm just going to trade Circle if I want to get into Circle rather than taking it through a different vehicle. But in focus for me right now is going to be the nut, DNUT over here, and then I'm also going to be looking at BFLY, Joey. Those are the ones I'm looking at. I see Gavin Ross. Did you get into that HCTI, a classic Barcelona? Sorry, I forgot his name. Great beard, trader short. I don't know who you're talking about, brother. Did you get into that HCTI, classic Barcelona? I don't, Gavin, you're going to have to explain yourself, buddy. I don't really understand that, but I'm really interested because you're speaking my language here with soccer. Fluffy, RDW, and RXT. Let's take a quick look at those for the Fluffsters. I do want to get into DNUT over here. DNUT's going, man. It's going without me here, man. All right, let's look quickly at RDW. That's the weekly. That's not what we want. We want the 5-minute look. RDW, fantastic look, Fluffy. Thank you. Fluffy and I often don't see eye to eye on some of these small cap names, but I'm liking this. It's not strictly a small cap. Redwire Corp, $1.6 billion market cap. It doesn't matter. I'm taking that. I'm putting that one on the side chart. RXT, I've got that one, Fluffy, but it's still putting in lower highs. That's bottom right of your screen. But I do like the look of RDW's jib. So we're going to take off. Who are we going to take off here? IONX. We're going to put RDW. And then if I want to trade one of the quantum names, I'll just trade them directly rather than trying to take them through a leverage ETF. So RDW is in focus. RRGB says Grunfeld if it breaks 5. RRGB. Let's look at that one. Not bad. Good bull flag. Having trouble with 5. Trying to reclaim the 10. Not a bad. I would say look for a 485 break. For whatever reason, this 485 area seems to be a staunchy area of resistance, despite, of course, we've been above it. But this is not a bad one either. RRGB. Let's take off RXT. I don't like RXT. RRGB, Joey. So that's it right now. But DNUT is going. It's breaking through 4. It's south of 413, but it's clearly broken this trend. What I would look for now is not a key retest of this upper trend line, but just somewhere, the money fills south of 4, 395, 394, somewhere like that for a possible reclaiming a continuation into 4. You want to get in here, half the size, add into the volume weighted average price or the 10 EMA. I think that works as well, but you got to have your outs set so that you're not DCAing into no end, Joey.
All right, man, good luck. So, yeah, a lot of people mentioning this name. This is definitely my favorite stock that I don't own here, and that's going to be TKO as it's grinding, putting in almost a new all-time high right here at 216. So a beautiful move, a gap up on the upgrade here earlier this morning, and we're only a couple pennies away from touching into that new all-time high. This thing is just buy the dips and nice steady up and to the right. I don't know. Other than something going horribly wrong in the UFC, I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. I think we're going to see a continuous grind. So buying the dip 195, that was an opportunity there, and then now you're about to breach that high, that all-time high. So a beautiful look. And as for Walmart, getting somewhat of a pullback here, guys. We tapped into 134, and then now we're starting to come back in. But, I mean, if we just continuously go from what we've experienced in the chart's history, eventually this dip is going to get bought back up. So I'm going to be looking at these couple of names. Walmart, proud owner up, but full disclosure, I don't own any TKO, and I don't know why. I'm curious if they offer a divvy. We can figure that out a little bit later. We'll head over to the options chain and take a look at what we see on silver. I haven't looked at the crypto space here today either, but it was a strong rally yesterday, and I'm curious to find out if we've given back the majority of that move. 200, this is what I was talking about, the supply zone. You can go check this. I'll pull it up later in the session. Just the options contracts. It's essentially the information that's displayed right here. So we'll keep that in mind. But expiring tomorrow, the at-the-money IVs really started to cool down, surprisingly so. The name is tanked throughout the intraday session, but it is what it is, and there it is, 200, that supply. We couldn't hold that, breach through, and we have pressure, that supply zone just pushing price down to a low of approximately 184 this morning. So not the best look on NVDA. Let's go over to IBIT and see what we got going on there. We'll see what we have on this expiration cycle. You can see at that $40 mark, there is some supply right at that 40 mark, 3,550 contracts open and closed with 33,300 still currently open. So that might give us a little bit of a resistance zone. Well, it has been. Let's pull up, that's Russ's phone. Let's pull up IBIT on the actual chart and see what we have. And a lot of people calling the bottom.
Yeah, who's calling Russ, bro? That's what I want to know.
It's not the Leafs, man. Maybe it's the Leafs. They're like, hey, man, we need some new players.
Russ is back by the ringtone immediately.
Yeah,
right
Russ
there,
is
bro.
back. So he's on the phone. So here's IBIT with the high of 72 bucks. Now trading down to 38. That's a 47% haircut. Not too good of a look in the crypto space. And if we head over to ETHA, it doesn't get any better. We'll take a look from this previous pivot high, down 58 smackers. Not fun whatsoever. We'll wait. And with these names, what you want to do is just because we don't call it a market cap, but the size of this is just so large. We know that we go through these multi-month consolidations, and then eventually we turn around. We want to wait for trends to be broken and support levels to be held. We'll head over to the weekly and see what we have on this one. And there it is. We're just bouncing right off of this level. I wouldn't be surprised if we head into 29. I know that's like $10 from now. It's another 33% from where we're currently trading at. And then maybe we can start to climb a little bit higher. So not too good of a look. That head and shoulders play coming into factor here as the neckline was broken at 48. Now trading $10 lower from that zone.
That's crazy. All right, guys, we're in the nut here. DNUT, we're in at 97s. I caught 94s, originally 8 in, excuse me, at 98. caught the dip trade. That's what we were talking about, for it to come back down, test the breakout level. But let's not get too excited. We need higher highs, and that higher high has to come, in my opinion, above that, 410 area. I realize that the high of the day is 413, but those are on a wick basis as opposed to any closing prints. So my bias is 410, probably gets us on side. We can look at it that way, or we can look at it at breaking that breakout candle high. I'm talking about the 1105 candle, the high of which is, I think, 404. That's where my next profit taker is. We get a candle of indecision at the 1110 candle, gets bought up aggressively. This candle undecided right now. I'd like a move above 405 into 406. That breaks local trend and then puts us on track for that 410 taking. We're gonna have to see if it happens. This could manifest into a lower high, but I will have notice this time of the lower high. How? This current bar, 1110, low of which is 393. It comes in at 393, I'm out. It's that simple. I'm not going to DCA into the 80s where VWAP is, because my bias with these type of trades are when there's a decided lower high trend break, like the one we just got on DNUT at 1105, and it doesn't continue to test the prior highs, it is setting you up for a lower high, and that is bull trap city, and for a loss of the downtrend line. So that's my bias. It loses prior bar low, the low of which is 393, pardon me. I'm out, simple, okay? I also worked into BFLY. I'm looking for this one. Okay, we got both ads on this. All right, okay. Let's go ahead here with BFLY. I've also got a bias with this one that it tries to attempt that $5 break. It hasn't gotten anywhere near 5 quite yet. Well, that's not accurate. 496 is the high, but it's really a 490 resistance level on BFLY. And the reason I say that is because all the closing prints are south of 490. Okay, with the one outlying wick there that got into 96s. So BFLY, we'll see if this one can fly up. AEHL, looking like it's gonna lose its spot, man. I'm not gonna lie. AEHL, let's pull up on this one. All right, there we go. So this one just dipped into the WAP, and it's picking up some buys here off that volume weighted average price. I believe VWAP's a little bit higher than 85 pennies. I want to say 86 and change. It comes back in there. It's still suffering from the lower highs, so it's not time for me yet to get into this one to challenge the dollar. We're going to have to wait and see how this one ends up looking. Pardon me? Oh, yes, absolutely, guys. And I want to show one thing. If I can just load it up here, Joey, because I want to show you guys the Trader TV Academy page. It's fantastic. And I post, by the way, for those who want the morning note, and maybe you don't want to pay for both, right? The YouTube subscription and I think it's where the YouTube subscription and my morning note. You can just basically get this, and then you'll get the full Academy program. I'm trying to look for where it is, man. Brendo, you sent it to me this morning. Where the hell is it? All right. Well, I've got to get it somewhere else then. So take over, Joey. Take over. Let me just, I think it's in the group chat between you, Brendo, and I, so I have to go pick it up from there.
All right, yeah. I can pull it up here real quick and see what we got going on. We'll take a look at the Academy here, guys. We posted in it earlier this morning. And there's going to be a lot coming on. And I think we have a special guest for you guys today as well. So look forward to that. I'm going to see, I'm going to double check the schedule, but we'll run through it here momentarily and see what we got. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so at 12:10, make sure you guys stay tuned. Let's see what we have here. News feed, and you can see that we're posting in here slow and steady. I was posting up there. Neil was in there earlier today as well, 2 hours ago. I was in there bright and early this morning, wishing everybody good luck. Good morning and good luck. Sean been in there as well, so make sure you get in there. I think the real important things here is in the Academy. Pull up here, missions. Yeah, campus. I can't find it. Mine's moving a little slow here. The campus. So there's even more going on here than you can imagine. So essentially what you can do is you can journal. It's just everything you need essentially in one place. And then you can go through all the educational content there as well too. So yeah, keep that in mind, guys, and go check it out. I mean, there's nothing wrong with testing it, seeing how it works for you, and just kind of just adding another tool into your basket. So, Joe, you don't have to use PA. To be a part of the academy, absolutely not. But they do offer a simulated account, which they do offer a sim account. So you can practice whether you're not having the best session. You can hop right into there and continue to practice. So yeah, there it is.
There you go.
You have it now, Sharif. We got a new high of the day on Circle, up another 8% there, guys. So I mean, here we were long. Decided to do this liquidity grab, timed out, and then I was just too early. I thought we would get that breakout quicker than what we experienced. And this is what I talk about, buying the top end of the range, right? This is a prime example. On all of my trades this morning, especially my first NVDA trade, I knew where I went wrong. I'm like, what am I doing? This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. I had good reads on the trade desk, and I didn't take it. And then the second trade on NVDA, I'm like, hey, let's see if I can get this back. And just I wouldn't say disregarding the process. I was thinking about a money factor opposed to looking for the right trade, and the right trade was not to the long side this morning on NVDA. But there goes Circle up to 90.21. I was looking for 90 before I started taking anything off, but unfortunately we got stopped out on that specific trade, Sharif.
All right, here it is, guys, and Neil posting here. So I want to read Neil's post, and then I'll show you guys mine. Triple B situation, but the key is a 194 prior resistance holding over that long plays, but looking for the dip first. And he's talking about SLV. This is Neil's, I think, morning mix, if I'm not mistaken. He's talking about AI. He's talking about SoFi. So Neil posts on there. There's my post right there from the campus program, the morning note. You click read more, and there she is right there. And it comes now with a table of contents, and it is clickable, so you can just click that bad boy and it takes you right into the page, so you know exactly what you want to look at and what you don't want to look at. You're not interested in C3 AI, Joey? Don't go to page 8. You don't want to know about Paramount Global? Do not go to page 9.
Don't go there.
Yeah, don't go there. So there's all sorts of stuff on the Academy site. There's the Katina Man thinking short. After the report from Nvidia yesterday, I looked to see if we can hold that 196.50 area. If not, looking lower in total market. Keep your eyes on the triple Q. Katina Man is going to be posting in there regularly, as will I, as will Joseph, and we're all going to be doing it live right there. So just join us. Join us every day, man, on the campus program. Help get that education as well. All right, let's get down to work over here. DNUT, breakout. Now it's a 2-candle working on a third red pullback here, okay? And so it hasn't lost 393, and that's where that doji candle low is, but it's been putting in lower high, and we're working on a third lower high here on DNUT. BFLY, I think 1 penny out of the money on this one. I'm starting to not like BFLY, and I'll tell you why. It's putting in that rounding pattern into a key area of technical resistance that is $5. For the moment, it's holding above the 10 EMA on the 5, but those lower highs, I think, are indicative of what may be coming next. Yeah, I don't like this. If it sets up a little bit differently, I'll get back in. But for now, I'm not liking the look of this one. I don't have to be focusing on things that are not doing the move. I see SBEF Bovin. Someone already gave me that, but thank you. We're going to cover that in a second because it's accumulating for a $0.75 break. SBEV. Let's cover that right now. Oops. Let's cover that run right here. It was a little bit light, 15 million shares. Yeah, it's not doing a whole lot. Look, the volume came in on SBEV really late, 11 o'clock. You can see it did like no volume from the open, and then all of a sudden, 11 o'clock, 1.3 million shares, 1.7, 1.3, 800. 1.024. So there's volume coming in, but we're getting a lot of resistance at that $0.75. Volume weighted average price right at 70 pennies. Topping tails go into or breach 75. So SBEV, you could give this to prior bar low. We haven't had a prior bar low break since this 11 a.m. candle here, a candle of indecision. This candle, the 11:20 candle, holds prior bar. 11:15 holds prior bar. So you can kind of give it a tight stop there. there, see what it does. But SBEV also in focus for me now, guys. Circle's really going. I think this did breach high of day. And yes, it did 90.60, but it's coming right back down and could be looking to retest at 10 EMA at 89.25, 89.5. Look at all the topping tail candles through 90 on CRCL. It's a monster. It's been a monster for a couple of days. Trade it carefully. It's expensive. NVAX just dipped off the 20 and it's getting bought, 20 EMA on the 5, and it's getting bought up aggressively. If NVAX breaches prior bar high, which is 1177, I'm going long. Currently it's showing me 66s. If we get this candle here, right, which is a hammer candle, a doji candle, and a bottoming tail candle, which shows you aggressive buying, that's one part of the equation. The second part is to breach prior bar high, so we can say at least locally buyers are overwhelming sellers. We'll get back into we'll get into this one. I haven't even been into it yet. So NVAX in focus for me, Joseph, as well as SBEV.
Right on. So yeah, silver a little bit of a trickier one here this morning, guys, and I think it has been as of late. I mean, we were talking about this name a couple months ago, and it was just going with the flow. If it was trending, then you just wanted to essentially try to find a way to get involved with this in the direction of the underlying. And here, throughout this whole run up to 100, essentially, we'll call it 105, price action a little bit more simplistic. We are sitting on top of a range, but we're getting more ebbs and flows within this and choppiness. Yesterday I heard it was pretty choppy. I wasn't even looking at silver. Yeah, so this just moved essentially sideways for the majority of the session, giving you only a couple of pennies, but I mean a dollar range, and then sells off aggressively. But then this morning, Katina Man was short here from around 78.80s or something along those lines, and then he got that flush down, but then it rebounds. So some strong indecision prints in the lower end of this range. But let's see where this goes. This pre-market zone is starting to act as a key resistance level, and we'll have to keep an eye on that. Let's take a look at the chain and see what we have going on that front. And if there's any form of like outstanding size, yeah, so $80 is acting as a clear resistance zone. We see the size there of 30,900 contracts with 7,710 at that $80 mark. So we're looking at that as a supply, and considering, relatively speaking, it's substantially larger than what we're experiencing across the board. Now, these 80s on the put side, watch to trade a little bit lower, right? So these are currently OTM. They're in the money, right? So I mean, we're getting this push and pull effect. It's kind of, I forget the term. It's slipping my mind. Essentially, okay, options pinning, right? So where you have almost an equal amount of size on both sides, on the call and the put side, and it really, really chops the underlying asset, right? And that's what we kind of experienced in yesterday's session. So almost the same amount of size on the open interest front at that $80 mark, exactly what we're seeing on the put side and on the call side, all right? So keep that in mind, guys. We'll head over and take a look. We looked at IBIT, we looked at NVDA, we can take a gander at the TQQs. Yes, and I see we'll look at MU here momentarily, and $52. Where was our high of the day? 52 exactly. So that's going to be where we have the largest amount of size. So that call wall coming into effect, pushing price lower. Why? Because the objective is essentially to have these contracts close OTM so that you can collect the premium. All right, so just keep that in mind. Why is it doing that now? Almost a new high of the day, 90.51 on Circle, putting in another solid session. If you were patient enough, unlike myself, you would have plenty of opportunities to get involved. But the trade that I missed today, and I'm not beating myself up about it or anything along those lines, but what I should have took, shoulda, coulda, woulda, is the trade desk shortly after the open. 936, this consolidative zone is such a prime entry spot. You're above the pre-market highs. You're buying, you see that buying pressure stepping in on the lower time frames, and then you make that strong break. So even if you're buying the breakout or you're fortunate enough to get in at the lower end of the zone, this was a high quality opportunity. And look at that breakout volume. It really gets going, and then you can see that move being sustained all the way north of $24 and heading almost into $24.50 on the trade desk there, Sharif.
Yeah, man, that's one hell of a move on the trade desk.
Yeah, and I thought so in my notes this morning, I was actually thinking short and a continuation on it, but I wasn't going to fight the trend like with Circle, and it just decided to go on a nice sustained rally here today.
Understood. And there goes Circle, man. Right back into the highs. Very, very strong. Let's
8% today, almost 9.
Yeah, that's crazy, eh? We're going to have to check
Obi and see if he...
Yeah, you know what it is, Joseph. I mean, we're doing this for fun, so let's not put too much pressure on your boy there. But CRCL, 960 high. Here we are, right back at the $0.50. It's a very clean hold of the 10 EMA on the 5. I'm going to get stopped out of SBEV if it loses 68. It's already losing trend. I'm flattening out because it lost prior bar low, and that was not my move. My move was to hold prior bar. If it wants to set up a little bit better, I want to say it's 65 to about 62.5, we'll get back in, but I don't want to be fighting that one. NVAX as well. I built a position into this one because of the hammer candle that formed at 1120, and then subsequent, we get a bit of a bamboozling candle. The 1125 candle, a doji candle. Mind you, it makes a higher high and a higher low, but it doesn't look great. Now we're caught in this candle here, which I'm talking about the 1130 candle, kind of indecisive about what this is going to be. So it looks like it might be a continued downtrend. What I'm thinking is, do I give it to the doji candle low, so the 1125 candle, the low of which is 1159, or do I fight this one into 11.5? I'm undecided at the moment, and I have nothing to do yet with DNUT. It's still, I don't know, man, what the hell it's doing. It's putting in a bit of a downtrend locally here, but it still hasn't breached that prior area low, so I'm packing the patience. I'm seeing Farm Trader XWell is not doing anything for me today. That was a big mover, brother, yesterday. But today, I think I was telling somebody else, it's down 0.83 and kind of flat on the day. So Farm Trader, I'm not really sure what I'd do with XWell, but at the moment, it's not tradable for me. Yeah, that's basically it. Good out there on SBEV, as that one is continuing to bleed pretty aggressively. So my spidey sense was accurate on that one. Just cut the bleeding before it gets you into trouble. But AEHL could be breaking trend here. And I know I've said that before, but it looks like it might be. Let's look at AEHL on the NQ, right? Yeah, just making sure the positions are okay here. RDW is going as well, guys. That looks quite good. Shout out to Fluffy. I know she's all over that right now. AEHL, yeah, still, it looks like, perfunctory breaches of that downtrend. I'm not going to jump into this until we have a clean attempt at $1, but RDW is making the move. So just before we go to Adara for the crypto segment, I want to show RDW here. What is this on the NY? Yeah. So RDW, a clean hold, I want to say, of prior bar low. So it holds that 940 area. Now it's back into 961. Look at that move back up, retraces into 940 and then makes the move. So this one could be good here. RDW, shout out to Fluffy. It's up about 12 and change on the day. What's going on in crypto, Adara?
What's going on in crypto, guys? We actually do have a crypto-related earnings report coming through after the bell. That'll be Marathon Digital, MARA. We're expecting losses of 23 cents per share and revenue of $223.92 million. Not seeing a time for that, it just is after the bell. So we'll be getting this sometime after the bell. Let's talk here about BTC, though, and some of these other cryptocurrencies, because Bitcoin, really nice push to the upside yesterday. We opened yesterday's session just above 64,000, closing around just below 70,000. But looks like we did, I guess we didn't crack 70,000. Highest here I'm seeing is 69,954, but it probably depends on, I guess, what you're looking at. This here is trading view. Ethereum here, ETH yesterday, strong day as well, opening around 1850, high of 2150, currently trading just above that 2,000 level, trying to hold on here. So I mean, the Bitcoin rally certainly continuing. I think CRCL has mentioned Circle with its stablecoin related, so crypto adjacent, but they had that great earnings report yesterday. With that in mind, it'll be interesting to see, depending on what Marathon Digital does, if we get any kind of move in crypto surrounding it. Of course, not accrediting this entire move in Bitcoin to the Circle rally, but interesting how they happened simultaneously, guys. Back to you.
How's it going over there, Joey?
Yeah. I'm just looking across the board here at some names, see what's interesting on the daily and the weekly. Speaking of Bitcoin, you can see we are on the backside of this, but the thing is, this was just waterfall type price action. It is break, but we don't have multiple touches. It's such a hard trend line to kind of put together. So we'll just disregard this, because if it doesn't make sense, then there's no real point in using it. But Sharif, you're talking about this name earlier, Uber, up substantially this morning.
Yeah,
so
man.
forming that base, and then sure enough, you're getting a move all the way up into 75. Unfortunately, we're still down substantially off of that 102 mark, 30-something, 26%, we'll call it. So, I mean, a recovery, we have the trend line, we can draw this trend line here. This one makes more sense. So maybe we get somewhat of a recovery rally into this $80 mark, and then we want to see how it reacts. And there's nothing wrong with engaging north of these trend lines on the back side of things. And that's kind of the narrative that I was talking about with Bitcoin and so on, right? The technicals, I mean, this is what trading is pattern recognition, regardless of what the underlying is. I know a lot of individuals would be like, hey, man, you can eliminate this and you can eliminate this, and we just want to see what price is telling us at the end of the day, and you can just kind of navigate the markets that way. Now, as for Walmart, we were talking about that. Costco heading higher, almost back to that $1,030 mark, only 4% off the highs. What a big time recovery in Costco. Here's a great example of a trend being broken and then the stock actually just slowly grinding higher, right? So there's nothing wrong, especially in a strong name like Costco, with being patient and not necessarily getting in off of the lows and then waiting for trends to be broken and then getting involved on the backside of these trends. So that's a really great example there in Costco. I like that a lot. I'm curious of when these guys are going to split. That'd be really nice. I think it would add, I don't know if it's going to add retail, because we don't trade Walmart every day other than earnings, but you get maybe some more investors involved in this, considering it is somewhat of a pricey stock. Moving forward, let's go through a couple of names. We'll start from top to bottom. I haven't really looked at the Mag 7 this morning either. 272. What have you been doing today, Apple? Selling with the overall market reasonably so, and not quite getting back to VWAP and rejecting that zone. We'll send this one over to the lower time frames. So curl over, it looks like sellers are completely engaged here, guys. Microsoft week as well, heading towards the low of the day. What has this name been up to? Phenomenal earnings, but yet the street not liking it.
I don't know what the hell just happened there. I got into AEHL. You can show the screen.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why I took out the entire position. I didn't do that. It's so frustrating. I catch the breakout on the uptrend, and it gets me out of the whole thing. That is just infuriating. That's so frustrating,
All right, man,
dude.
let's hope it takes here.
Oh, my
AEHL.
goodness gracious, bro. Oh, I don't know what. Maybe I took out all the sides. Maybe it's my fault. But anyway, and I know for a fact what I typed. But hey, so we got it, but we were not in it because we took out the entire position. So that's on me. We'll look to reset here once it opens up. So AEHL halted to the upside. Halt time 11:36:26. Earliest this will be open is 11:41:26. Tap. This is an NQ name. It's showing 113. The halt price is 112. So we're marginally above it. So we'll keep an eye here on AEHL. Separately, I got out of DNUT because it lost the trend. So we're all out of that one. We'll see how this one ends up doing. But for now, DNUT is not really going to be in focus for me because it is putting in that lower high, right? We talked about this area high. We're going to be able to have notice of the lower high, and we did because then it broke that breakout or that the candle, the doji candle, subsequent to the breakout candle at 11:10. So a bit of a tougher look there. What else am I looking at here? RDW, yeah, pulling back in a little bit. After that 1180 high, coming back down into 980 high, coming back down into 950. We'll have to wait and see how that one sets up. But I don't have anything right now. So AEHL was the one that I was looking at the most. And we're not holding any shares on that, sadly. So we'll keep that in focus. All right, what else we got? CRISPR, says Nick. Let's take a look at CRSP. What is that one up to?
Did you? There's a documentary on CRISPR and like genetic modification, and this guy was just like injecting himself with genetic mods.
Days, really, eh?
Yeah. Did you see the guy who tried to make like glowing puppies and stuff?
I've heard about this, man. People like modifying animals so they glow in the dark.
Yeah,
That's crazy. Look, as long as it doesn't genetically screw them up.
Screw them? Yeah, I know.
I don't know, man.
Weird
I'm not
stuff.
about that. Doing it for you know what and giggles. But CRSP looks fantastic. Okay, let's just be honest about that. Let's change. Put that on the side chart over here. There it is. It's up 9.4% on a very aggressive breakout. Takeover speculations are why this one is up. So here's the headline. Vertex Pharmaceuticals is speculated to be the company that has been studying a potential acquisition of CRISPR CRSP since late last year. This is according to traders who cited Betaville, bless you, a Betaville uncooked alert that was circulating on Thursday. Lawyers from Skadan are believed to be working with Vertex to consider a purchase. It's not clear if VRTX will continue to pursue a potential acquisition of CRISPR. Betaville reported in November that a U.S.-based biopharma with a market cap of about 100 to 200 billion may be interested in bidding for CRISPR. Okay, so that's the headline there on CRSP. Looks fantastic, but as this is obviously is speculative, we must view it as speculative and trade it as such as well. So until we get confirmation, but obviously we know the majority of the money is front run. The majority of the money is made by front running it, of course, and making good educated guesses. Keeping an eye here on AEHL, the tap is still showing 113. The time is 11:40:35. This one, as I mentioned, 11:41:26 is the earliest it will open, so we'll keep a close eye on that. DNUT just dropped back, into the volume weighted average price, and let's see if it holds here. I'll give it 283s. There we go. We'll see if DNUT can hold the volume weighted average price. If it doesn't, we'll risk a few pennies here. Give it another chance here for DNUT. See if it can bounce off that as well. NVAX is bleeding pretty aggressively, guys. So it's dropping all the way down now into 1140. It's lost the 10 and the 20, at least for the moment. And I perceive there could be support here at around, I want to say between 11 and a quarter to 11. There's that area of consolidation there that took place from 9:45 until about 10:15. So keep your eye out on that one. All right, AEHL is open. Let's take a quick look at that. Topping tail candle into 116. Let's see what this one has to offer. There's a seller at 14. Let's see if we can get in here and give this one a try, maybe into 105 or so. There does seem to be aggressive selling at the 14 penny level right now. Look at the seller there, and there's more coming in. Let's see if it dips down. It's putting in a topping tail candle now. Resistance is pretty simple on this one. The $1 area is obviously the psychological area of resistance, now looking to be support. And then the 10 EMA as well is also shadowing off that $1 area. So be on the lookout for that, Joey.
All right, good stuff. We haven't done this in a while here, guys. We'll hit this one up here for us. And see what we got going on here. So not too bad of a look. This is the algorithm that I created, and I was talking with Jose the other day, and he's like, man, Claude is so dangerous. He's like just cooking up algorithms.
I heard.
Like 10 times faster than he was with like ChatGPT or something.
Really, yeah?
Yeah. He's just like, man, this thing is just absolutely insane. And the Pine script on it is just way more simplistic, and you need way less coding. But here it is on silver. I mean, we go back to February 20th. It's picking up all the signals that I want. We're currently in this position right now, but this one is probably going to get stopped out. This was right out of the gate. Oh, maybe not. Okay, we didn't get stopped out. There we go. And now we're continuing to climb. So you can see that net open P&L. So not too bad of a look. We'll head over to February 18th and see what it picked up. Like, this is beautiful stuff. This is exactly what we want here on this algo. We're going to head over to Adara, and then we'll go through a couple more names.
Beware here, guys. I'm seeing more Iran potentially related news here. Fox News reporter Lucas Tomlinson reporting on X that apparently the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain has been reduced to, quote, mission-critical staffing. Apparently, the last time this happened was right ahead of the Operation Midnight Hammer in June, implying that there could be some possible strikes in Iran. Back to you.
So some of the mega cap, it's not really performing too well, and it doesn't really perform too well on the TQQs. So you can see we're running a horrible net P&L on that front, and the profit factor obviously going to be somewhat negative. It's not even going to give you one, so it's 0 profit factor. So we'll just run through like SoFi and see how it's performing there. Nothing crazy, but we'll take it. And what do we have for the net open is still, so we'll take a look at what this trade is when it picked it up, January 28th. Still in that? There's no way. Okay, that's interesting. But aside from that, guys, give me a couple more. TKO, I'm curious if it's been working on this one. Not really. Oh, pretty good stuff. We'll take it. A nice steady uptrend there. We'll take a look at the profit factor, 1.9. Right, so that's really, really good. You can see the net, and this is from November 24th all the way to where we're currently at right now. So that's pretty good. We'll take it. And then I had a list of names, and I plugged them into a Google spreadsheet. And I remember there was a couple of months where no matter what, I was trying to find names, and I'm not just bigging myself up or anything along those lines. I was legitimately trying to find names that it wasn't working on. But you can see the past couple of months, it has not been performing relatively well, and that's the nature of the beast. Sometimes things don't work how you expect them to. And I want to go through a couple more before we send it back to Sharif. CrowdStrike. And there's a range of names where it really works. This one's typically more expensive, but you can see from January 12th to February 26th, so about a month and a bit, you can see the profit factor relatively good here. That's insane, 8.87. That's insane. So there must have been a massive trade somewhere along those lines. It's this one. So February 9th to February 12th picks up exactly where we want. You don't get stopped out, and then you hit targets beyond means. So that was a really good look. And then we'll take a look at one more before we send it off to Sharif. Earlier this month, picking up those candles, you don't get the breach, and then eventually you get out. So some good opportunities and some good signals. But as I mentioned, the ETFs, aside from silver, it doesn't perform the best on.
All right, AEHL just made a new high by an entire penny. Got into 18s. We wet the beak at 17, looking for a continuation now, possibly into the quarter dollar. Sadly, I didn't get the dip trade into 7s. There is a new, well, not new quite yet. There is 19s, looking for a move into 20, showing back up quickly. There is 19s, but it feels like the higher lows are good, but we're also being met with aggressive selling and shorting at the 1/5 of a dollar. So be on the lookout for that, guys, because this one is, I don't know, I feel it's like it's undecided. You got a clean breakout, but I don't know. I feel like I missed the cleanest part of the breakout with that mistake there, punching out the entire position. In any event, let's keep an eye here on AEHL. I'm going to leave my dip trades where they are. I also got into RDW. I thought this one was trying to make an attempt at 980 again, but it's showing me candles of indecision. I don't know how I feel about this one. In at 61.05. Here it comes back into the $1/2 dollar. It feels like there is buying at prior bar low into 49s. I'm just going to leave my stop where it is. It's awfully close to where we are right now. So if it ends up stopping me out, it ends up stopping me out. We'll keep an eye on it. I'm not doing anything on DNUT. It's just straddling VWAP, but it looks like it wants to break. It doesn't look good. I got to tell you, what the hell is DNUT doing here? I'm not sure what it's doing. It's holding on to VWAP for dear life. Where are we in at DNUT? We're in at 89.50. It's showing me 88. Yeah, this isn't the move. Let's flatten out here for a penny loss. That's fine. Let's look back now at AEHL, moving right back up. Wondering if this is an area where I should be adding because it's holding up quite well into this area. It's still holding up with quite a higher lows. Let's see if we can kind of get a little bit more here on AEHL to ride trend possibly into the quarter dollar. We'll have to wait and see. It's not letting me. Oh boy.
Okay.
There we go. Let's see if we can kind of ride into that quarter dollar area on AEHL. Doesn't feel like it has the cleanest continuation, but hey, man, it's up 126% on the day. It's going to be on a lot of people's scanners, so we're going to give this one the old college try, Joey.
All right, good stuff. I just heard Connor Benz got a belt April 11th against Regis. All right, let's go through. We're going to run through our algo here and see what we got going on, guys. Once again, I won't be putting on any trades throughout the day. Big mistakes on my behalf. All right, so we're going to start at the top of the list, A and C, what we got from AAPL. And we'll start with the profit factor. So we'll head over to the metrics to even see if this is profitable right now. So net, no, slightly negative. So you're not going to have any form of a positive profit factor. Shows you the buy and hold strap, but that's essentially irrelevant there. So we'll continuously moving forward. MSFT, how have you been performing? So what I did here, this is essentially more or less for bullish sentiment here. And what I did is I just created essentially the inverse of that. So you would shut one algo off and then turn on the inverse. And I don't have it on here for some reason. I might be able to find it a little bit later once I send it back to Sharif in a bit. And then we'll plug that in and see how that performs. But if I don't have it, then I won't be able to use it just yet. So this strategy is more or less lower volatility, bullish sentiment, where you're looking for those bounces and those reversals that work relatively quick in the overall market, okay? So nothing is 100%, unfortunately, but that's okay. We're not worried about that. Moving forward, I know this name typically performed pretty good for us, and that's going to be Palantir. Oh, yeah, look at this. This is some good stuff over here, guys. Net profit factor of 7.7. I don't even know what to do with myself at this point, obviously being highly sarcastic. But there's some big opportunities. February 6th, you're getting in exactly where you want to. These opening drive prints work relatively well. And you're getting out essentially when you're hitting a key target or in the post market, okay? So moving forward, the January 22nd to 23rd, how to get that strategy, my friend, how to get it is to trade for 4 years and then type in, or going on 5 and a bit now, or 4 and a bit. What you want to do to create a strategy like this is essentially accumulate everything in your brain and then type your thoughts into Claude or ChatGPT and get it to spit out an algorithm and put it in. And Jose and I were talking about some things. He's like, hey, Joe, why don't you try with your VWAP breakup strategy? Why don't you try quantifying it? And I'm like, and we just had this conversation on the fact is that not everything is quantifiable, if that's even a word.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so it's hard, right? So there's some trading strategies that are more or less used from a discretionary aspect, and there's some things that you can quantify, like this, for example, right? Because it's very, very detailed, but it's decisive enough where you can type in and you can put in your thoughts and tell it what to do, opposed to kind of gauging and feeling the current sentiment, because these algorithms have no feelings, all right? So Palantir typically works well for us and continuing to do so. Let's take a look at TSM. We're going to go through a couple more bullish names so we can get a better gauge as well. TKO, I think we went over, but let's see how the profit factor is on this one. So not too bad, slightly positive, but nothing crazy on that front, 1.32. Where is it, the amount of trades that we can get in and see? Total trades, long. So shooting a 50% hit rate right there, right? So not too bad. Moving forward, this is what we're doing, guys. We're just going to go through conversation. If you have any questions for me or anything along those lines, it's more or less, hey, ask me, and I'll just give you what I know from the experience that I've gone through or anything along those lines. Applied materials. Let's see what AMAT has been up to. This name has been really strong as of late, okay? And sure enough, we're running something positive. A profit factor of 8.8 with a total net P&L of around 1,400 USD from January 12th to February 26th, so a little bit over a month. Fantastic stuff. Let's take a look at some of the trades. And I mean, you run through, it doesn't trigger that often, which is good. That's, in my opinion, I like this. I like it a lot. I don't constantly want it to be in and out of positions. I want it to trigger on specific signals. And here's a prime time one, once again, in applied materials, and it doesn't trigger out until the next day. Totally fine. You will be more than happy to wait 24 hours to collect 1,100 USD. Moving forward, where was that next one? January 16th, prime time, right at the lows, and then hitting the same target at the but not even at the end of the day. So another good signal right there. And this is our loss. It gets out. Look how much smaller our losses than our winners, okay? So that's a pretty good look here on Applied Materials.
Sounds good, Joey. AEHL has stalled out for whatever reason at this 112 area. It's not, there seems to be a buyer at 10s, but it's not being supported by any higher lows. It's more like lower highs. So I am a little bit undecided as to what to do with this bad boy here. I've got an order. I think I'm going to defend into that 105 area where the 10 EMA is, and with my ultimate stop below 1. So we're going to keep an eye here on AEHL, but I also want to get back into NVAX because NVAX is making a move into the volume weighted average price, and I'm trying to pick this up. There we go. We just got in. We're going to give this to 11s. I'm looking for a VWAP bounce here on NVAX. Let's see if it comes in or what the situation is. VWAP is right. I want to say 13, somewhere like, 13, 14, something like that on NVAX. Let's see if it holds up above 11. 11 is my line in the sand, so we're going to risk about 17 pennies and see what we can do with this one. So we got 17s. Let's put some profit takers here in case we get a price spike up and ride this monster back into the highs. Otherwise, we'll get stopped out below 11. And we're going to see exactly what happens with this one. SBEV, no, nothing to do on that one. DNUT, nothing. Well, DNUT's actually holding VWAP, guys, so that might be worth a look. Circle just dropped aggressively, okay? It made that 960 high retake and an attempt to breach it, and now it's dropping into 88 and a third. It's losing it pretty quickly here. Let me give you some technical levels on this monster, if I can just refresh. VWAP is pretty close here to the price. I want to say it's a little bit below 88. It's at around 87, 81, give or take. So a little bit below that $88 a circle, but that was an aggressive red candle, and it basically lost a bunch of the different trends there. We'll see if it can kind of hold up. DNUT still holding VWAP, but not exactly an appetizing trade to get into. And then the RDW is just boring me to death here because it feels like it's going to lose that $0.50 area again. Here it comes. I'm going to take out RDW here and focus on some others. But NVAX, man, I can't catch a break today, bro. NVAX is coming right into 11, so it doesn't look like it's holding up at VWAP for the moment. It just lost it, 1109-ish, 1103-ish. That's why it's not updating. I don't have it up here. Let's move NVAX up here. I know that's why it's all the way down there. Okay, we'll have to put it back there later. But if I don't put the ticker on my side charts, they don't update the price, which is kind of frustrating. NVAX. All right. There we go. Up 15 and change, but losing the volume weighted average price in a hurry. Let's go back to AEHL though, because that one looks like it might be catching a bit of a bid. So it does hold 10, 110 that is, and now it just made the first 5-minute candle to make a new high above the 1150 candle. There's a seller at 15 of note that we can't shake, at least for the moment. 19 penny high. I've added into this one. I'm looking for a continuation into the $0.25. As I mentioned, 19 penny high. So let's see where this one ends up going. But we're getting some selling here, some staunchy selling at 15s, looking for a move into 16. Okay, there's 16. Can we get a little bit higher? 119 again high. I'm buoyed by the fact that this held 110 pretty aggressively. There was a good buyer there, but we're still, yeah, we broke the lower high trend, which is fine relative to the prior bar. But we're not really rocketing up to retest the highs. So I'll have to keep a close eye on that one as well. Let's go back to NVAX and see what the situation is there. We still haven't dropped into 11, so I can't really see if there's buying, aggressive buying at that $11 level and what kind of size is waiting for us there. So let's pack the patience, see if this one can retrace above the volume weighted average price, which it lost by about 10 pennies right now. But it looks like it will lose 11, and it's dropping pretty aggressively here, Joseph.
Sounds good. And guys, make sure you stay tuned for 12:10 here, because we're going to have a special guest here today, Sharif. So make sure you guys keep an eye out on that one. All right, moving forward, I mean, we can't just always talk about the winners here. And let's take a look at some of the casualties, right? So sometimes it picks up signals that you don't necessarily want it to, and there's some good opportunities. So Applied Digital, a name that has been performing relatively well, but you can see that in the past month and a half, It hasn't here. A nice big winner. They typically last a little bit longer than what you're expecting, but hitting the profit target as soon as market opens. So yeah, there's another good look there on APLD, even though we are taking a gander at some of the losses. Moving forward, we went over SoFi. Let's see how Coinbase has been performing, all right? Let's see how this has been acting up. We'll take a look at some of the metrics. Relatively well. We'll take that, right? From January 12th to February 26th, we're running a 1.39 profit factor. And if we look at the percentage gauge, we have 8 longs with only a 37% clip rate, and you're still positive on this specific strategy, okay? So let's take a look here at some of the losses and some of the wins on Coinbase. Now, here's a loss, stopped out immediately. Perfect, we want that. Here's an additional one, and another stop out. But you can see, just due to the size and the way that the shares are calculated is the wick value, okay? So there's a value between the stop loss and the size of the wick in which it will calculate the share size. January 29th, I want to see how this one looks. Beautiful. Primetime Deion Sanders, and this is exactly what we want to see. A good look here, and you're out in the pre-market and the post-market as it takes that a nice leg higher. All right, guys, it's time for Happening Now, and then Neil with his lesson of the day.
Take a look at this market, guys. We did initially get a little bit of a bounce here starting around 10:30, but unable to keep it up, pulling back down already here for that Nasdaq. We did get some Fed speak today. Fed's Myron, who, again, I believe his term going to end at the end of January there, but he's saying that the Fed should be cutting a percentage point this year in 4 quarter-point cuts, so that would imply they'd have to get started pretty soon here. He says that these cuts also should be coming sooner rather than later. Commenting on AI and jobs as well. Again, not a ton of economic data today. We did get these initial jobless claims, and we're getting PPI coming through tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Here is NVDA, Jensen Huang, CEO, pulling out another win, even though the report actually came out a little bit later than expected, keeping us on our toes, as always. Here's a look at fiscal 2026 revenue. All in all for NVIDIA, they posted a gobsmacking just under $216 billion in revenue for the year. Trade Desk also reported earnings. Initially, this stock faring much worse than NVIDIA, with some concerns here about their guidance going forward. That being said, I mean, if you look at the year in review, we had sequential growth for its sales and EBITDA margin across the board. Sales growth slowing a little bit, though, on a year-over-year basis. And earnings more. We have more earnings after the bell. We're going to get CoreWeave. We are going to get XYZ, or Block, led, of course, here by CEO Jack Dorsey. So lots of excitement still in these earnings names after the bell, guys. But in the meantime, you don't have to wait till after the bell for Neil's lesson. So why would you? It's Neil, and this is Lesson of the Day.
Thanks, Adara. Lesson of the day, Jack Dorsey's got the beard game going on. Definitely legit, for sure. But you know what? I like to talk about preparation. It's something we talk about in the academy. It's something we talk about on the show. And you have like the smallest bit of a change in your, let's call it your day, your routine, whatever it might be, and you can just throw the slightest thing off. So I'll give you the example. Yesterday, it's my daughter's birthday, and she had a Karate Kids presentation or demonstration at school. So I took the day off so I could walk her to school, make it a special day, all that stuff. But I did miss a normal day in the market. I went over some charts, I read some articles, like I kept myself abreast with it, but I didn't have my regular routine of having traded, having gone over all of the levels, reviewed some of the ideas, take the stuff from the day before, look at what is continuation, update the iPad. There's a lot of things in there that I didn't do. So when you come back after that day, I have to remember that I've missed a little bit of that. And what can end up happening, and I'll give you an example today specifically with the XOF and the financials, is because you don't trade the day before, because you might have had something which was on your watch list 2 days ago but isn't one of your normal names, or doesn't have a specific catalyst today, if I don't fill in that gap, I find myself in a bit of trouble. Now, yesterday, I would have looked at this with one price in mind, the same price that I had in mind at the beginning of the week, which was the big $51 support level, was what I was keyed off of for this week. We gapped underneath it. You had your press, but it was a rejection candle and a reversal, right? So I was here to see the rejection candle, but the following day, it broke out above the 51. Now, that's the day that I miss. But if I go back and fill in that gap, then I would understand, hey, there was my liquidity grab, there's my breakout trade. You've got to go back and look at XLF. It doesn't have a particular catalyst, but this is a follow-through trade. Just because I didn't actually take the long after that, little rounded breakout and missed that great day yesterday, just because I wasn't in it doesn't change what it looks like, which is a pullback into a prior support. You got the 51 taken again, so you've got that support level, so a longer term support and a shorter term support, and then it was a clean breakout, station to station, just like I like it. And this is the problem, is I wasn't even looking at it today. It doesn't even make any sense. It's not good enough, whether you're red, green today. Hey, silver was a good trade today. Warner Brothers been nice. Intel, first time traded, ended up good. It doesn't really make a difference if a possible A to A plus setup was sitting there had I filled in all of the gaps from the day that I missed, which was a follow-through trade in XLF. And maybe that would have gotten me away from SoFi today, or maybe found a different direction in SoFi at a different price, or possibly I could have looked underneath the hood and liked an individual name within the banks a little bit better. Like you could look at a JP Morgan was a similar gap fill setup if you wanted an individual name. But it just comes down to that preparation. And it doesn't matter ultimately if your routine changes by a little bit. Does it affect your ability to find opportunities and execute them the next day? Now, it could be as much as you're depressed, you have compressed time in the morning, so you don't get to go over your entire scanner list. That's not something you can necessarily control. I get that. Like maybe, you get caught in traffic if you're traveling to your job. Maybe you sleep in past your alarm. You don't have as much time till the market open. There's not a heck of a lot you can do about that. You have to try to do more with less time. Maybe in that situation, you give yourself a little bit more time before you take your position. But in the case of you missing the market for a day or going on vacation and missing it for a week, you have it on your own terms. You can just spend more time going over what you missed to fill in those gaps before you're ready to trade. Something I usually do a pretty good job of, but in this particular case, it slipped through the cracks, the XLF, because to be honest, 2 days ago was the first time I traded it in a very, very long time. So because I don't usually trade it, when I missed the day yesterday, I just didn't bother going over that particular chart. And that's the kind of thing where it's one little lesson that I learned, which is to be a little bit more thorough in filling in the gaps of data that I might have outside of that day that I missed. And it would have yielded at least one positive trade, and certainly eliminated one shot at even trying that SoFi trade. So I would have eliminated a potential loss trade, and I could have gained one that did work. And it's just a little extra work. This would have taken me a couple of minutes to do, and I'm here to tell you, I'll slap the fail on myself for not sniffing out that XLF trade or being long the financials today, because it was right there for me. So look, you're not gonna trade every single day. You're not gonna look at the market every single day. You're human. You go on vacation, you take a day off, whatever it might be. But you want to make sure that you don't miss out on the information that day or week gave you. Because at the end of this, all we're ever doing in trading is finding patterns and pattern recognition and looking for setups. And that just, it means going over symbols. It means going over charts. It means going over your watch list. It means going over Sharif's note in the morning. It means whatever your preparation is, you've got to stay consistent with it. And it's a job, and that means you have to take it seriously, and you have to fill in all those steps, even when you're feeling a little bit lazy. Now, this is usually the part where I say good luck on the rest of your day of trading. And I know we're going to throw to a special guest. You can already see him over my shoulder. But I have not touched the lunch yet. With the beef bolognese, we have like a little bit of spaghetti. So it's like a little spaghetti that they got going on here. It looks pretty solid to me. I'll let you guys know in the chat how it's going. And I don't know if I'm throwing to the desk directly to the guest or throwing back to the midday, but you guys are going to find out in a second either way.
Special guest with us here today. We have Lars Elers, who is trading floor manager, campus manager over here at Real Trading. Great to have you here with us today. How are you doing?
Thank you. I mean, I was just saying I made a quick appearance probably a year and a half ago when this was still a trading floor and everything. But yeah, no, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I mean, we see you a lot behind the scenes. So great to have you here with us in the studio. Basic question to start off: what is the campus program?
Yeah, so I mean, Neil and Sean and Sharif and Joe, I've made some advertisements for them in the past, but we basically run a remote trading floor. Like we have a remote trading floor where we're looking for talented traders, and we want to fund those traders to become really big traders. So we have a training program around it, basically getting them from beginners to potentially professionals, and yeah, just guiding them through that process.
Let's talk a little bit more about the process. How specifically do you guys approach trading, and how do you guys trade?
Yeah, so it's a little bit different than what you might read in books or see online. Like what we see the biggest potential is to start traders off with looking for the quick short moves. So we always say, you know, it's easier to predict the move for the next, you know, seconds or a couple minutes versus if you say, I'm going to buy this at 100 and it's going to go to 110 in the next 5 hours. There's a lot more variables at play, and it's just easier to figure out the variables for the quick moves. Once traders can do that with consistency and they can kind of capture those quick plays, then we start to look at, okay, hey, are you able to go bigger on this, or are you able to look for maybe bigger moves? Maybe you can now lock in small moves. Now we can look at bigger stuff. So yeah, a little bit like that.
It makes a lot of sense here. So now, I mean, you kind of addressed it already, but what specifically will traders do within the campus program? And I guess we've seen Wayne as well. How do you guys kind of integrate with the traders too?
Yeah, so our team is obviously Wayne, who was on Tuesday, and then Chris. But our goal, like I said, is we just want to find talent. Like, we're looking for those diamonds in the rough that they're motivated, they're working hard, and we're trying to help them to figure out, okay, what is it that you're trying to accomplish in the market? Like, what is your strategy, and how, with everyone's experience, can we make that better? Either our experience or the other traders in the program, how can we work together to kind of improve it? And then it's just as soon as we improve it and a trader starts hitting consistency, it's all about sizing up. Like, take more size. We have the capital to do that for them. So take those trades with more size and see what happens.
So understanding, I think, the size of the program and just the backing, as you mentioned as well, what is the potential for these traders if they join the program and if they show the promise that you just mentioned?
So the ultimate goal for any of the people that kind of come through is to take them to become a professional. So that is, you know, they can live off their trading, they can do well. And the way the program is set up is that it's free to come in because it's all based on if a trader does well, we take a profit split. So we work with them. The only way we make money is if they make money. So that's why we're so dedicated to working really hard with them. And then there's nothing better than see someone come in, make mistakes, work on them, figure them out, grow, and all of a sudden starts hitting consistency, and see them grow is the best thing.
That's amazing, yeah, and I think it's certainly when we had the floor back here as well, something that we got to see a lot too. So with that in mind, you did mention this program is free. How can people who are interested join you guys over at the Real Trading Campus? Yeah,
so we're starting a next group on Monday, so literally Monday, March 2nd. If you're interested, I think there's a link that you can click to sign up. It's open for international people, just not US residents at this point in time. But yeah, we're starting a new group. The first bit of that program will be a lot of self-guided stuff, so you can kind of test it out, see if you like it, and then as you progress through the program, you'll start to interact with us.
Awesome. I think there's some interest in jumping in over from there, so we're going to get some questions from this desk.
Hey, Lars, good to see you again, brother. First time I think you and I interact on the show.
Yeah.
You're not in the office as much anymore,
I know. I've moved a little bit away.
I got a question for you, Lars. So for the traders that want to come on, they as you said, they want to make this their primary or one of their sources of revenue. What kind of tools do we have for the traders? So Wayne was coming on the other day, and he was talking about the morning meeting. They set up, they talk about the different, that trades interaction. What more can you tell us about that for those those that really want that professional edge?
Yeah, so we obviously use the P8 software, so the proprietary trading software, and we really get into the details when we're trading, because we really try and help them figure out what is it that makes that move happen and how can we make that trade that you took repeatable. And then as soon as they start making that repeatable, okay, as long as you can keep your wrist tight, you have your psychology under control, let's look at size and see, can we take more size? Some strategies, you can take more size than others, depending on the ticker and everything. And then by just doing live calls, one-on-one chats, especially with the live guys, seeing where, or literally how far can we push this and how big of a trader can we make you.
That's great to hear. And for those who trade different things, Lars, like your oil traders, your energy traders, some traders who want to trade gold and silver equities, is there a home for everybody? Yeah.
So in the beginning of the program, we always say, actually our CEO had a great quote where he said, everyone wants to drive the Formula One, but you start in go-karting and you slowly make your way up. So we set everyone in the first couple phases through a pretty specific training program, because we understand some people might have a ton of knowledge, others not so much. As soon as they start, they've explored the software, they start trading for profit. At first, they are on some set symbols that we have seen really teaches people how to read the stock and read the order flow. Once they start performing well and they keep progressing, because we kind of set it up like a game where you have different levels you have to beat, then they get more freedom, because then they've kind of earned that freedom, and then it's like, okay, let's see what you can do with that and what other symbols you're interested in.
Great stuff, and we look forward, obviously, to the growth of the program. Thanks, Lars, for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, Sharif.
Thank you again here. This is Lars Elers, leader of and floor manager here of this campus program, Real Trading Campus. Check it out. Thanks again for being here with us.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Great dude, and nice to see him on camera, man. And he's been one of the pioneers of this program. So very excited for him to actually see this through. Yeah, the academy, the campus, Joey. He's been working it from the get-go, and it's his his little baby, right? He's been building this thing up for a while now. So very happy for him.
So working alongside Wayne and Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. And he used to be with Brenkels as well before he he left.
Yes, Brenkels was there.
We missed Brenkels, obviously. But yeah, great information there. Thank you, Lars, for coming on. All right, let's get right to work. AEHL is breaking out, okay? 129 high, we've got 15s on. I'm looking here for the trend. I'm looking at adding as opposed to removing anything here. Looks like we have a seller at 25, despite the fact that the high of the day is 29, and here's 25 again, and there goes 25. Let's see if we can kind of get a little bit more here. I don't know why it does this to me. Look, I'm trying to add. See that? I don't know why. I have no idea why. But that's kind of the way it is, Joey. So
trying to add?
Manually. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we got it. It's fine.
To Frex.
Yeah, I got to set that up. Yeah, I know you've been very complimentary of that. So we added there into AEHL on the continuation, 129 high, testing the high. There it goes, and a clean add into the high, 136 high now, seller at 132. Look for continuation there. As soon as we put in that bottoming tail candle and then we breach the bottoming tail candle high, I felt that this one was a right one to add into. There is a seller at 32 now that we can't shake. Let's see if we can print at 33. So I'm just going to post it there as a feeler, as a tester to see if the liquidity is there or not. But there's a lot of size exchanging hands here at 32. So typically what happens here is we drop because the sellers see that, they get a little nervous. They know the short sellers are aggressively defending that 32 penny area for whatever reason. Watch for the bottom drop now. Oh my days, there it goes into the day high, into 40. We're gonna get caught in this halt finally. We'll do something right today. Into the high we go. We need a few more seconds in this parameter, and there we are. We all halted up on AEHL. By the way, I made another mistake on Circle. So I had a banger trade. We took $1 there with size. And then I was asking Lars a question, and I had a stop on this one. I didn't have the full size of the stop, and it ended up continuing downside to flatten out. So we give back a little bit on Circle, was positive on it, now I'm negative. Continuing to watch though, AEHL, so halt time, 12:17:22, halt price 140, tap 146, 145, going back and forth. Very aggressive, very good looking stock right now, AEHL, up 170% and going. Be on the lookout though, because they're around for a good time, not a long time. So look for structure break. There's many different things that we'll talk about with AEHL as the price action develops. I have a bias now that this squeezes into $0.50. You know, you're probably not surprised to hear me say this, but if we breach the $0.50, I'm looking for a continuation into the whole dollar at 2. Probably we're not surprised to hear that. In any event, we're going to keep a close eye here, Joey, on AEHL to see if we can kind of breach that half. We're showing 46s now, 47s now as a tap.
All right, man. So we'll take a look over here at the TQQ's 5-minute. You can see that we get that pullback right into the volume weighted average price, and then sure enough, you start seeing some selling pressure step in on that 5-minute time frame, and then now you're starting to take a little bit of a leg lower. So let's see if we're going to go and test that. I don't think it's going to be so smooth sailing where we just all the way down to this previous low of 48.50, but we talked about the supply zone all the way up here at 52. So we're south of that currently, and we want to see what the big boys are up to. Circle also starting to come back in as well. Strong opening drive, and a couple opportunities to get into this 90 mark, the breach through the volume weighted average price, and then a move right back higher. So we'll take we already ran through the majority of the larger individuals here in the market, but we'll take another look to see how they're performing, and if we are going to experience an additional leg lower, all right? So there's Google, not too bad. Heading back towards the volume weighted average price. Microsoft was really weak, and I'm curious, we're gonna find out here right now to see if we're continuing on that trajectory in Microsoft, if the platform would like to work. There we go. So, I mean, you bounce off of the lows, but relatively weak here, guys. You can see that we're forming consistent lower highs, right? And there's no form of higher lows being formed whatsoever. See how this trend line reacts if it rejects. You want to draw it a little bit more clearly. That was just a rough kind of guess, but you can see that we have multiple touches on this occasion, and sure enough, you're starting to that downtrend is fully intact. But one thing that I want to note is just look at the weakness in the price action. And this is where I really went wrong in NVDA. We're going to go down to the 1-minute time frame. We'll get to the super chat in uno momento there, Assassino. But this is where I really went wrong. You can see within the opening drive the strength within these selling candles. And then when I attempted to take a long, I believe it was around this neck of it was around here, I think, at some point, and I get stopped out, but there was no real participants stepping in, and the volume is extremely cool. So as soon as I entered that first position, I'm like, no, what did I do? And then I went to, and I wasn't thinking correctly. I'm like, hey, let's see if we can get this move back to VWAP. Great numbers, but the street is telling us from a price action standpoint that the sellers are fully in control. All right, 690 shekels.
Ooh,
all right, yeah,
big boy money.
Yeah,
that's big boy money I made on the day.
6.9, not 690. Sorry, I might have said that.
I just meant the money he made.
Oh, today, yeah. Hey, boys, printed 2.5K today. Good luck, everyone. Right on, man. I'm glad those are solid days. Those are week and month makers. So congratulations to you, Papacito. Glad that you're having a fantastic one.
All right, guys, still waiting here for AEHL to open up. Earliest, I guess, again, it'll be open up 12/22/22, right? So right now it's 12/21/47. So I'm packing the patience here, keeping an eye on this one. I'm also keeping an eye on Circle. Even though it did lose VWAP, it's still putting in a higher low. I'm talking about the higher low relative to the double bottom that we got at 1030 and 1035, the low of which is just generally 86. So if we kind of trend back above the prior bar high, above 87 and change, I'll get back in, but it doesn't look like it's going to do that at the moment. So we're going to leave that one for the sec. Here we go with AEHL. We should be opening up. There we are, into the high of 50. There we go. Selling coming in, though. High of 53. Closing the gap. The gap is at 40. We're going to get caught halt down. Let's see. We've got 21s on. Let's see where limit down is. So we've got a buyer here at 38. There's a strong buyer here at 38. Look at, and there's more size coming on to the ask than there is on the, on the bid than there is on the ask. Take a look at those two right there. It looks like we're going to lose 38 though. Let's see if there's a hidden buyer who's coming in. There we go. It's dropping into 35. We go. Let's see how many shares we have left, just so that we can manage risk. Another buyer here at 35. Let's see if it continues to bleed down. I'm going to take off a little bit more here, just in case. Take off that one up there. Continuing to watch your buyer at 35. There it goes right up to 41. Good move back in 44s. Nope, no continuation though, but it does defend that general area. Let's not take out too much too quickly here. Okay, let's see if we can work back above that $0.50. Even though it's a 53 penny high of day, we're looking for 50 pennies, right? That's the key area of technical resistance. Seller at 43 here that we can't shake. Let's see if we can kind of move back above 45 on our way to 50. Not immediately apparent that the buyers are stepping in. A lot of volume is exchanged hands on this one, about 137 million so far. Not a bad look here. Just packing the patience. I see key areas of support at 130 as well. And that's based on the 1205 candle, the high of which was 129. So I say 130-ish, in and around that area. Let's see if it dips down into that 130 area. I don't know if I'd be a buyer immediately, like a dip trade into that 130. I'd like for it, it may not give it to me. I'd like for it to come in, rest around that area, show that there are buyers stepping in. But you know how these ones act sometimes. They're just so quick to move up and down that you don't really get a chance to think or even punch with the speed at which they're moving. So we're hanging out here in the high 130s, low 140, high 130s, low 140s. I'm going to post here at 48 just to kind of defend that 50 penny level. So if we move, Fabian, please, the chart. If we move into that 148 area, Fabian, chart, please. Into that 148 area, I'd like to be able to get a little bit off as we approach that $0.50 area. But this one is losing in a hurry, dropping down into 33s now. So we have an ugly candle that manifested on the 5, guys, at 1220 candle on the 5 ended up being basically an inverse hammer candle. So let's see if that changes the situation, Joey. That's what I'm going to keep my eye on there.
All right, cool. Good stuff. Let's see what else we got going on here. I've seen people talking about the market taking an additional leg lower. NVDA is still hovering around this neck of the woods. We went through a couple of the bigger names, but let's pull back the TQQs and see if we're heading towards that low of the day. You're starting to see some buying pressure start to step in, and I think this is a good opportunity if you are looking for the long in this particular name, is they allow it to consolidate a little bit longer, but there is a support level at 49.25. So you can keep an eye out on that. If it breaches, then sure enough, there might be a little bit of momentum starting to really step in, and then that's when you can go and test anywhere around these neck of the woods. But if it does start to form a higher low, then that's what you want to be cautious of, okay? It's not going to be perfect. This isn't going to be the bottoming price necessarily, but just keep an eye out on if the overall market is going to recover. And once again, it's just going over the larger participants. What has Tesla been up to today? You're starting to find somewhat of a bottom here, guys. Gorv, I think you were talking about going long on this print. Yeah, it breached that. It did establish a new low of the day and is forming that downward channel. So we'll keep an eye out on that support level right at that 404 mark. And then now we're starting to get a bounce. We got a nice trade on this one. We had a nice trade on this one yesterday. If it will do me the solid of there. So this was at the break and then the hold of the support level, and then we were fortunate enough to get that moved right back into the volume weighted average price. Let's see what everyone else said. You know, ZSL changed price into double digits. Let's see. I never traded this. I know Sharif and Neil were trading this quite often. Yeah, so it did a split. Okay, so it did a reverse split. So 1887 there, because I don't know what it was trading at when silver was going on that downward move. So they did a reverse split, and now it's trading at 1886 on ZSL. Took a long on the 5-minute green candle, engulfing a bit on Tesla. Yeah, see, that's the thing. what I'm seeing, we'll head back over to Tesla there, but you can see that we did have that split on ZSL. So thank you for pointing that one out. So what I was thinking here on Tesla, Gore, this is where you're long. I don't know if this was the time, so 11:45, maybe this is where you went to go long on that 5-minute print. What is the 1 minute telling us? Starting to form that base, and this is when I really like getting in at the lower end of the ranges, waiting for that opportunity for somewhat of a bounce, and that's where you can keep that risk to reward relatively tight. We'll go over my example of my losses here on NVDA one more time to just see they're just getting into the thought process. So we had a bounce, but I'm at the top end of the range, and that's when I'm like, oh no, I'm in trouble. But then we started to form this lower end, and this consolidated base, and I'm like, okay, maybe this is going to be the opportunity for us to get that move back towards the volume weighted average price. That wasn't the case. It decided to take an additional leg lower, but you can also see the weakness within the prints. And how do we determine that as well? Look at the volume. Very low effort, and the result is weak price action prints.
Good call, Joey. Good call. Keeping an eye here on AEHL, sorry guys. Just looking for a possible change in trend. It's kind of holding this 130 area. I had a bias that this one did move back into my order at around 125. That is where I added into that only because the 10 EMA is there. It did breach prior bar low. I'm talking about the 1220 candle, the low of which was 133. The low of this candle, 132. But it's back up into the high 138s, low 140, so it's kind of doing the same thing we've seen. I'm trying to decide whether I want to add into this for a possible breach of the $0.50. It's holding up quite well. It's rounding up here on the 1, pardon me. So let's look over here. Let's see what we want to do on this bad boy. I don't have to be immediately quick with it. Yeah, there's still some lower highs coming in. What I'm looking at is the side chart right now. So I do see a bit of a rounding pattern, but I do see as well a rounding pattern in a bullish way. I do see that seller in the low 40s, 141, 142, that we still can't shake. So if I want to add into this, I should be adding in the mid 130s. That way I'm getting it towards the low end of the range. As I mentioned, the candle low is 132. So I'm going to keep my eye on that and look for an entry into that. So I don't think it's quite decided what it wants to do just yet. I am a little concerned about the lower highs, right? But it does seem like there is buying at around this level. Just, I don't think enough, obviously, to push the seller at 140. So we're going to stay clear, at least for the moment. New 5-minute candle just opened. So prior bar high, 141, prior bar low, 132. So now we're basically engulfed by the prior bar's price action. We haven't breached the high or the low quite yet. Yeah, so that's all I'm looking at now. I'm just trying to decide whether I want to add more or not. That's the only thing that I'm debating. I like the fact that it's holding up here, because typically when you have a topping tail candle like the one that we saw at 153, it tends to drop off a bit. I'm going to go ahead and add here. And I'm going to give it to prior bar low for the add amount. I'm not going to take out the entire amount. Okay, so 132 is prior bar low. So let's go ahead with that, and we're going to give it the old college try, so to speak. So let's get in to there. Yeah, let's do that. Good. All right, let's see what this one has to offer now. Let's see if we can take out some prints. Obviously, that fundamentally changes my cost basis, right? But that is part and parcel of trading these bad boys here. So that's what we're going to do. Let's put in some profit takers too, Joey. Ever since adding, you definitely want to wet the beak as well. Again, 153 high, guys, but essentially it is 150 because we spent all but no time there. That's it. Circle did breach the double bottom at 1030 and 1035, not by much, but it did breach it, and it's still putting in lower lows and lower highs. It's lost VWAP. It's lost that area support that we had earlier on. So I don't know, what the look for circle is at the moment, but it did lose this level, not by much, and it looks like it might be reclaiming it right now, up back into 86.5. So keep your eye out on that. DNUT also feels like it's a flat bottom break waiting to happen, so be on the lookout for that, Joey.
All right, good stuff there. Just reading some things. Keep there. My man, what's up, Mark Flower? Appreciate the love, man. All right, I said that in a Snapchat the other video. In the summer, they're chasing horizons when I was in Chicago. I love USNA. There it is. Let's see what we got. You know what that one's.
Yeah, it's Borat, right?
Borat. I love USNA. So yeah, anyways, Circle, guys, still holding up, starting to form somewhat of a base, $85 right there. You're getting a bounce. Silver, we've been talking about this, right? Like it has not been clean as of late. The price action has not been good whatsoever, in my opinion, especially after this massive volatility spike. We looked at the options chain, and after this print, we were looking at 177% like at the money IV. So your Vega metric on the Greeks was insane. That is most definitely cooled down now. And the options writer, if you're in the right space at the right time, then sure enough, you've been performing relatively well. If you, on the writing side, you don't want to be buying options after events like this. Bad idea. You got sent flowers.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, men don't get the flowers until. You know how it goes there, Sharif. Anyways, the TQQQ is starting to get a rebound right into that trend line. Boom. Let's see how we react around this specific zone. Let's head back to our watch list, guys, and see what we got going on with a couple of the other names. And we will pull that up here right now, and we'll take a look at some options chain as well, too. PAN-W, are you starting to recover? Not too bad of a session. We'll take it. Where is it relative to the volume-weighted average price? If this consolidative base is right around that neck of the woods, then that's not too bad. Man, this thing has been hella slow as of late. I don't know about you. You use the older data.
Yeah, no, they've been good.
This one has not been good whatsoever. Moving forward, DraftKings, what have you been up to? Down to $22. How do we look on a daily? Yeah, you don't want to draft this one, that's for sure, because $49 all the way to $22, a 54% haircut, so not too good. Oh, maybe we'll take a look at Polymarket as well, see if there's anything interesting on there for us to have a little bit of fun with. CoreWeave,
What happened?
Taking a little bit of a slide here today, Sharif. CoreWeave not looking too good. Really, I mean, it's up, it's down, and it's around. So no real direction. It's hard to find these bases. You get this breach of yesterday's post-market, but then you get that rebound. Construct that lower high on the intraday session, and it looks like you might continue on that trajectory there in CoreWeave. CrowdStrike was up to 80s, bounced back, came down into VWAP, and now you're starting to find somewhat of a recovery. I don't know if you're going to go and retest the high of the day at this point, but not too bad. We'll take it on CrowdStrike, but the downtrend still fully intact. DWestmeyer, $2 Uber chat. Joe, I have 250 Nvidia calls expiring tomorrow. Average 5 cents. So you paid $5 for them? For 250? Brother. I mean, that's a lottery ticket in my opinion. I don't know when you bought them. If you bought them today, we need a little bit more detail. But, I mean, they expire tomorrow. I'll put my mortgage, or I don't even have one anyway, Sharif. Everything that I have in my bank account that NVDA by tomorrow does not reach $250. Now, if you wrote those, then by all means. But unfortunately, if you have a substantial... 210 calls, okay, that's a different story. Even so, you got to take into consideration 210 on NVDA is all the way up here. And I don't know when you purchase them, so it's going to be really tough to gain any form of value in them. Even you're not going to get any extrinsic value or anything along those lines. Unfortunately, those ones are going to expire worthless.
All right. Benton saying Oracle pop. Yeah, right back into VWAP. Kind of choppy price action, though, Benton. Right now, but nice double bottom into that 146, 145 area. I'm talking about ORCL. Not a bad look, not one that I'm in trade, but interesting look there for Oracle. I see some other comments there. Bovin says RXT bounce off VWAP. Definitely, let's have a look at that. RXT. Yeah, not too bad. I drew the trend line there. It's still, you know, Bovin kind of suffering from that lower high look generally. Look for a trend change, like see a pronounced high, like the one that we saw there at 1205, and then a move back above that. So like 183, 184 would be interesting there. HNST says Escape Planet. Let's have a look at that one. This one is good. This is a good bull flag looker here. It's not great with volume, and it's got a declining volume profile. That's a bit of a price action volume divergence there with higher highs on the price action, lower highs on the volume. But that's all right. It's still stair-stepping up. This one could be a flat top break. Let's just say, you know, through maybe 2 mid-80s, somewhere in around there. That would be a good look. Let me know what your plan is on that one, brother. So we'll keep an eye out on that. And then RGB says Grunfeld. Yeah, I've got that on my side chart as well. Still a 499 high though. I'll keep my eye on that. But AEHL is making a move, and there was all sorts of buying at 130. Now we've got this kind of weird area of consolidation here, a tight range. I want to say about a 10 penny range, give or take, right? On the 5, you can kind of you can kind of see that over here. Let me bring in the black charts a little bit easier to see. This is what I'm talking about right there, where there's, you know, these bottom area wicks showing people are buying it off the 130s. But if, you know, really had to decide, we're still generally putting in a general trend of lower highs. We did breach prior bar high, which was 138. We got into 139, kind of perfunctory breach there. Nothing to write home about. So I'm going to let AEHL consolidate until we start seeing, you know, that tape teleportation where the buyers come in fast and furious, and that usually, you know, is a bit of an indicator that things may be headed back to the upside. We'll have to wait and see, man. Tony says, Tamelli, kidding me, bro. Tesla short. Where are you short, brother? Because it's down 3% into 405 and change. Yeah, the Meg's all getting clipped today, save and except for Meta, which is barely green on the day, 0.03. Same thing with Softy, though, to be fair. Barely red, 0.05. We're going to pause the action here for a second. We're going up to the big desk.
We do have Wall Street Journal reporting some of the outcomes and talks now with the Iran-U.S. talks in Geneva. U.S. reportedly demanding that Iran destroy its 3 main nuclear sites and hand over all remaining enriched uranium to the U.S. Also, apparently, the envoys from the U.S. here, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, warning that failure to comply could trigger military action. Well, the U.S. has already been deploying jets and warships to the region. They're apparently pushing for a final agreement aimed at fully reining in Iran's nuclear program. So here's some updates here with the U.S. and Iran. We know that this can move oil. Either way, worth keeping apprised of. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that. It's rumored that they're asking them as well to give up their missiles, their medium range and short range missiles, the ones that they were firing on Israel during whatever that war. I don't know what they're calling that war there, but that they had. And I think that's a sticking point for them. I don't know if they're going to give up those. Yeah, they might get those hit though. That's the thing, right?
Get striked.
They're probably identifying all those ones, but they're a very mountainous region, eh? Very.
So that's where that's where you had that initial strike in. It was like all mountainous.
In the nuclear facility, I forget what the name of the operation was. The one that President Trump put, like with the missile that, like the before and after picture. Yeah, I did see that. Where? Yeah, it is what it is, man. War is war, bro. There's just no getting around it, but. Josiah, brother, you can't spam the chat, right?
You're lucky. You're very nice.
You can't spam the chat, Josiah. Put it in once, maybe twice at the most, but you risk getting a block there. It's okay. It's okay. He didn't know. No problem. Let's look at it for him. We're gonna be nice. He bought the SPY, so let's load up the SPY over here. He says, I bought the SPY. This is you, Joey. I bought a SPY put contract, 675 strike, 1 contract, expiration March 9th. I paid about $275 for it, and now it's around $4, so around $400. So he's up 125 bucks. I'm still holding. Are we going to test the 200 DMA SPY, Joey?
Well, to kick things off, I don't really use moving averages on the daily. So let's see what you got involved with here. 675. That's pretty nice. I mean, those are
to New York. Give him a red card. That's for the weekend, my boy. That's Saturday morning to New York.
What's that?
He's like, give him a red card.
Oh, Saturday morning. Oh, yeah. Get that. You don't want that red card.
You don't want that red, Joey.
I mean, what are we looking at completely different contracts here, my friend? Because that's worth $1,500 if you ask me. So I'm gonna read it one more time. Put. Okay, I bought a 675 put. Okay, now we're talking. This is a little bit different now. Are we going to head a little bit lower? So those are still out of the money. You have 11 days, but they've doubled in value onto. I mean, we'll pull up the actual contract itself so we can get a little bit better of a look. Okay, and I mean, 11 days, you're gonna see theta slowly start to kick in on these things, but I mean, it's not too bad whatsoever. Again, from this morning, right? This is the 4-hour chart. It's 26 today, right? Yep. So, I mean, you're getting the double up this morning, and if in the next couple of sessions we continue on this downward trajectory, because you have to take into consideration, I mean, the 200-day, I would have to put it up here, but it's probably somewhere, it's the wider one. You're running short on time is what I'm going to get at, essentially. But if you get an aggressive sell-off, you might see an increase in that contract. But also just keep in mind that over time, the closer we get to that expiration date and you're not close to at the money or in the money, you're going to lose a lot of value. And this is what I talk about very often. And I'll go over it real quick right now, is that you have to understand your objective. Now, what you've done, and I don't want to talk your book or anything along those lines, so this is just me on the outside. I'm looking in, and if someone said, hey, I did this, this is what I'm thinking you're looking to do, or what I think in the world of options is essentially the ideal plan.
He says, I just want to add what he said, because it's good to add. I'm prepared to lose 50% or more.
You're prepared, but you don't need to, right? Like, so there's a way. So you've already gained 100% within that contract, but just understand that you're limited on time and you're looking to gain intrinsic value when I don't think that's necessarily the play. Why would you lose something that you've already gained 100% on your investment when you can gain essentially the extrinsic value? And what is that? That's the time value. Options pricing is derived from multiple things, 3 of them being your intrinsic, extrinsic, and the volatility. Okay, so you have to understand that. And you can still put on a profitable trade on what you have right now without it reaching 675. If you get a move into 680 in a couple of days, right, and you're thinking, oh, maybe SPY is going to bounce off that 676 level, you can still profit off that trade in which you already have. Just understand that if you get the move now, look to just capitalize on the time value, not the moneyness of that specific contract, that the moneyness being in the money, because it may not hit that. You can still be profitable without hitting 675 and just gain time value on the contract.
He says, I hear you. Good call there, Joey. Good information, brother. As always. All right. Still holding AEHL. It just keeps showing me bottoming tail candles through, or not through, into the low 130s. Let's see what this one does. Let's see what this one does. Into 37, 38. It's picking up speed here. Seller at 38, looking for continuation to test the low 40s. We haven't been into the low 40s since the 5-minute candle at 12:25, so the better part of 20 minutes now. Let's see if it can work its way up. There's 39, there's 45, and it just blows through all my orders. Good ad here. All right, let's take some more out. Into 144 it goes. Let's go ahead and post a little bit, not 244, Sharif, chill, bro. Let's go 248. We also want to post at 50 pennies. So in case it gets into 50 and crosses, we'll let the beak into 46 it goes. It does look like it's picking up here. This is the kind of tape teleportation that I was speaking about. See the time in sales, guys? See the way that it's moving? For better or for worse, right? There's a lot of red coming in. That's profit taking, shorting, but this is what I mean. When the tape picks up speed like this, when it had been, I don't want to say dormant, but definitely not as quick, that means something. And it's probably going to be a lot of repetition in order to pick that up. Into 48 it goes. I think the high of the candle here is 49. We're waiting at 50, and I'm looking for a retest of 153. That is the high of the day. So I did add here, as you can see, we built the position in the low to mid 130s, and now I have a bias that we at least test again above that $1.50. Let's go ahead and post a little bit more in case this one really picks up. 47s, 48 showing up again, but the shorts are also going to get aggressive in the same way that the longs are looking for the break of the $0.50 is basically the contra positive of that is the shorts are looking to defend that $0.50, and that's their entry as well. In the same way that you have a dip trade, right, off a key level, the shorts are looking that way as well. That's their dip trade. It's just in the opposite. Continuing to watch here, looking for a better move into the high, but we're not quite getting it. Separately, I did add in the NVAX, looking for kind of a continuation here. above VWAP. It does look like it's defending it a little bit. Let's wet the beak here. I don't have a lot behind this, nor am I that gung-ho about this one. I was looking for a clearing of 11 and a quarter, and then I was going to add into this position. We haven't gotten the clearing. That means I don't add. Simple as that, okay? Back now to AEHL. There it is, back into 48s. I still haven't seen 49 since I reported last to you guys that the high was 49. So the selling here is coming at 48. I do expect more selling at the $0.50. So if we clear 48s, I don't think it's the end of the matter. It's certainly not the end all and be all. There's 49.50 showing up now. No cross, and there it goes, Joey. It takes out my orders, but that 57 order still unprinted. It's a 55 penny high of day now. We have 35s and we added substantially, so we're going to be looking for a continuation now into the 60s, okay? 155 high. Let's go ahead and post a little bit higher than that. We're going to, because we have an order at 57. I'm posting here at 60. Right back down below the $0.50 we go, Joe. So the shorts here, they are pretty convicted in their position. They are looking at defending the $0.50 here. And just because we can get above it on a wick basis, I don't think it means a whole lot. It means it's great, obviously, if you've got resting orders there and if you've taken the profit. But if you're looking for trend to continue, you definitely need to see that closing print above the $0.50 on a higher time frame, the 5, the 10, the 15. Otherwise, you're just basically, you know, this is the instability of these small cap gappers. So keep your eye on this one, guys. We're going to chill out here for a second. We're sending you to the big desk.
Small cap tickers on watch here. BYND. On their blog, they announced that they are expanding their product following strong consumer response. The brand will apparently be offering even more ways to enjoy the crisp and refreshing functional beverage line when they introduced the beverages a little while ago. BYND on watch. Back to you.
Hey, Joey.
All right, good stuff there, man. Yeah, I'm glad.
Would you drink a Beyond Meat beverage? Given the food?
No.
Given the quality of the food?
I've never, I don't
You
know
ever
if
tried the food before?
I don't know if I've ever had the product Beyond Meat.
No, neither have I. I've just heard other people complain about it.
Yeah.
I love eating that vegan food. Joey?
You never, I've had, so like I tried, I remember Farm Boy used to sell these like vegetarian, I don't know why they call them chicken strips, but like a concoction of some part of vegetables. Like strips.
Vegan chicken strips.
Yeah.
Sounds appetizing.
I mean, it wasn't horrible, but you don't want to get too used to them. But I used to eat like a lot of black bean burgers and stuff like that. I like black bean. Have you ever had something?
I don't remember Licks?
Of course I remember Licks, dude. I had to ask my grandma. I had I was a little jit, man. I was like, I was probably
jit. That's my man.
Yeah,
I love that.
Jit, man. I must have been like 2 or 3, and I had like a bladder attack in there. And like my grandma's like didn't even know I knew what that word, and I'm like my bladder, and I got sent to the hospital in Licks, in the lineup at Licks.
Oh my days.
In Rexdale, but yeah, Licks, unfortunately.
But I was gonna say they had a pretty badass veggie burger. I'm not a big fan of veggie burgers, but you know they had a good one. I don't think there's too many good ones.
Have you had Apache burger or anything along those lines?
Apache?
Yeah, in Etobicoke. You never been to Apache burger?
No, hold on. I digress for a second. Remember the dude who defied the COVID lockdowns? The guy with the barbecue guy, Scully or something
like that.
So he's got a lawsuit in the Ontario Superior Court of Justice. He's challenging that whole thing.
Yeah.
He's saying, remember how they shut him down? The whole thing. He's saying his rights were breached anyway. So the trial started yesterday. Sorry to digress, because it reminded me about the whole thing.
I think that's rightfully so, because that's essentially what Apache burger is, right? You get the old charred-boiled style with the fountain drinks with the open and everything. Good quality stuff. And it still has like the old menu, you know, when they each like slot. It's like a plastic piece.
I love those. That's how you know it's good. That's how you know it's good. There's a place like that near where I live, Yonge and Steeles. There's this Lone Star Burgers. Dude, you walk into this thing, it's like you walked into the 80s.
A time machine.
I love it. I love it,
like
right?
Those ones,
God, I love that kind of stuff.
Get a nice peach juice.
Yeah, man, vibes, exactly, Johnny Rott. It is vibe, my boy. All right, we're taking off a little bit more here, Assassino, because the topping tail candle is a little worrisome for me. But I always want to mention, guys, that the topping tail candle on the small cap gappers is not the end all and be all. It is, in my opinion, not the same thing as seeing it on a large cap, right? which requires tons and tons of money to make that topping tail candle, especially during regular trading hours, maybe not outside of that. The small cap gappers though, well, they don't need that much, right? Low flow, right? A lot of volume, low price, etc. So sometimes they get, you know, certain chart patterns, certain candlestick patterns that would mean something entirely different in a large cap. So that's kind of my look there now, keeping an eye on this one. I'm also seeing Circle starting to round here. It's not making any higher highs that are of note to me, but I'm keeping a close eye on this one. So if it does find a bottom at around 86-ish, I could be persuaded to get back into that, but for now, I'm not going to. Also, I wanted to mention that we're still continuing to hold here on NVAX, so we'll wet the beak up here as well, and here comes 125. If 125 is cleared, I'm adding into this position for a possible move up and a retesting of highs, okay? So where do we get in? We got in at 14 on the VAX. We're gonna look to take some more, or to add some more, pardon me, on top of that. There goes RRGB. Shout out to Grunfeld. Brother, you called it. Good on you. I hope you're printing on that. That is your call there. RRGB. We were talking about this one kind of suffering from a little bit of low volume. But hey, it took out $5. So if you were smart enough to build your position in the 80s or low 90s, you've reaped the reward of that patience, and it is a 503 high. So good on you guys for that. I'm just going to continue to watch NVAX, and I may be persuaded to even add into AEHL because the current candle is showing me a bottoming tail candle. So the buyers are still stepping in here. They have not let this one go, and I want to see if I can get in a bit more, Joey, for a move above the $0.50.
All right, good stuff there. Let's see what everybody. No, Pathic. If you were here earlier in the day, your boy got. We'll say we took a hit there, my brother. We took a couple of hits for sure. For sure, we took some bad ones there on 3 trades too. We could go over that one more time because we can always talk about the winners and when we're all having all that fun and all that stuff. Let's get into the tough spots. So yeah, I mean here, boom. Blank. We take a little bit of it. Boom, boom, boom. We take a little bit of a loss there, and then we take another one. This one wasn't so bad, nor was this. It's where I really got hit. It was on CRCL. And yeah, that did not treat your boy very nice. So the first SD of the month, and yeah, that's just how it goes. Up there looking for the break of 90 schmackers, and we never got that down to 88.12, and that was it. 0 for 3, and that's it. And I'd rather that, man. I mean, sometimes, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but death by 1,000 paper cuts can get frustrated. I would rather just get a couple, boom, and then that's it, lights out, and you're done, right? So technically, we're not going to call it a headshot, but relatively close. A couple in the torso there, Sharif, and then sure enough, it was getting really dramatic there. But there it is, quick, no slow bleeding on that one. So yeah, we take a couple of losses, and then we come back tomorrow and see what the market is going to be providing. Stick with what we've been working for us for the whole month, and just get right back on, on track there. We're gonna man forward mano. We're gonna remove that one, but I see exactly win fast, lose fast. Unfortunately, that's not necessarily a narrative. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer to put in those wins for those who know. But yeah, other than that, guys, we looked at the options chain on SPY. We talked about it. DU I'm still trying to kind of comprehend what you're telling me about your expiration here. You have 250 at $200. Oh, okay, so they were worth $4 not too long ago. Those have almost doubled in price. So if you're looking for that move, that's not bad since the last time we brought up this conversation. And I hope that you are. The liquidity, little bit of an issue on the lower time frame, but I'm sure you'll get a fill when you want to. It's just that the fees, I don't know what they're charging or your broker is. You just have to be cautious of that. We were at a low of $4, right? So this is the 5-minute time frame. Oh, maybe not. It's $7 and then all the way to the downside on the 5-minute time frame. And that's what sucks about this. $1.52, 930, now worth absolutely nada by the end of the day. And I don't know how you options writers feel. Please let me know Like, because if I have a contract and I've been sitting in them for some time, and I mean when I'm referring to writing, I know a lot of people close them out at 50% of the premium collected, 60 and 70. I would very rarely, I mean, a couple of times I would, but if it's a couple of dollars, there's no point in me allowing them to expire worthless. Just close the position, just in case any volatility spikes come in, and then next thing you know, you're panicking, because theta and gamma does pick up closer to the expiration date, all right? So just keep that in mind, guys. C is in the building. We're going to be going over the news here momentarily. A lot going on from an earnings standpoint. I'm looking at the list as well for those who have it or may not. We're going to go through some solid earnings today, guys. Salesforce, Snowflake, IonQ, C3AI, Paramount Global, Warner Bros. Discovery, and the first individual to guess what my favorite report we're going to talk about, I will give you a good, solid shout-out. I wish I could give you a little bit more.
Is it TKO?
Oh, Adara. How did you know? See, Adara, so I owe Adara.
I didn't even have to look back at the tickers. I just literally was like mentally calling up which one would we be talking. It wasn't Walmart, it wasn't JPM, it wasn't when I decided to do TKO.
No, so we had to go with TKO. The process of elimination there by Adara. It wasn't JPM, wasn't Walmart, but it was TKO. So I'm looking forward to talking about what Dana White and company, and I don't know, is Vince still in office there? He's getting old, man. Poor old Vinny getting real old these days. No, I think it's Triple H now, isn't it? Triple H is definitely the president, I think, at this point. And then we have Randy Orton. Randy Orton, yeah, the RKO, man. He is the, I'm trying to think of something. I can't remember. He's the chief entertainment officer, maybe, or something. I just might have made that up, but he's something along the lines.
Randy Orton?
Yeah.
The wrestler, brother?
Yeah, but he's up there in WWE is what I'm getting at.
Okay.
So he's like the script writer, essentially.
Is he actually?
Yeah.
He moved up, eh?
He moved up,
he can't
man.
be fighting
He's
forever.
moved up. He can't be.
Yeah.
Those guys don't age, man. I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah,
But
God bless him, bro. He's
all
a
of them,
specimen,
like
man. He's
Brock
a specimen.
Lesnar.
He's aged a little bit.
A little bit, but I mean, these guys. These were the prime dudes at my age, and I feel like they're aging like fine wine, in my opinion.
They are.
But yeah, there's NVIDIA's options
fitness
contract,
lifestyle,
guys.
my boy. That's
Is
the
it?
fitness lifestyle.
It is the fitness lifestyle, keeping them
Apparently.
in good quality shape. Aside
Could be
from
other things.
Could be. Well, bro, it's
Money
probably,
brings a lot of options.
Money can make you look younger. That's for sure.
Brings a lot of options.
And it gives you you can
Joey Opsh, he knows.
Botox and all that stuff and all that.
Enumerating the options.
Well, I mean, I think
it.
it's usually that, no?
Yeah. Well, there's all sorts of good stuff.
They say it's
now,
not that
Joey.
bad for you. Is that true?
I don't know, bro. I'm hearing filler is not good for you, that it runs in your face and stuff like that. The collagen that you put in doesn't stay in one area, and it can be, I don't know.
We wouldn't know. Maybe we'll find out one day. We got to wait until we get into that, until we cross that bridge. I got another 20 years maybe before we think about that.
I don't want to cross that bridge.
Where's the good reference learn from Joe? Options getting better, but still learning 3 years in here. Carolina Tech. I can tell you anything you would like to know right here. If you ask any question, feel free to ask me, and then we'll get a little bit more involved. But aside from that, Sharif, I don't know if you're still in AEHL.
We're in both,
and
my boy.
We're waiting for Sia to rock and roll.
What time is it? It's
almost
1
1 o'clock.
Yeah,
I feel like she might have just came back from vacation or something. I don't know.
Oh, because of the cornrows?
Because of the cornrows, right? So that's what typically goes when you get your hair done. I could be totally wrong. It's just maybe the new style.
She would have been posting it all over Instagram.
Posting it all over Instagram. I would not know because I do not have Instagram.
Yeah, I know you don't.
So.
Now you're going to have to begrudgingly get TikTok. Though.
I'm on it.
You're on it?
I'm on it now.
Pull up the app.
I don't have the app. I'm on the thing. I'm on the web browser, man.
All right.
That app ain't going on my phone, brother. I'll tell you
Joey
that
Opsh hates TikTok.
I don't even say I hate it.
Yeah, right, bro. All right, guys, we're doing it live here. I added an AEHL. It's still continuing to consolidate south of the $0.50. It is, putting in higher lows. It is holding above the 10 EMA on the 5. So let's see what AEHL has to offer. I put in the resting profit takers south of 50 and north of 50. 50 pennies, in case we get that aggressive price spike up, and I can take some profits, because you know how these ones are, man. They don't hang out in any one area for all that long. I'm also holding NVAX, and I like the look of this one's jib. I'm adding into it as well. It's not letting me add. It's fine. We can go like this. I like what NVAX is doing here. It's really curling. It did lose VWAP, funny enough, but now it's above the 10. It's above the 20. I still feel we may have some resistance in the upper 30s based upon the bull flag range, the top end of the range that we put in from 945 till the breakout at 1020. So let's see what this one has to offer. I've added a couple of times. Now it's showing 29s. I've got 24s. I initially got in at 13s, 14s for that kind of curl above VWAP, but I'm going to need a little bit more proof, and the proof comes in with those prints. So AEHL, Joey, and NVAX in focus for me. I was about to get back into DNUT, but it lost VWAP, and it just proved to me that, you know, the flat bottom break could be on here. Continuing to watch AEHL, there's 46, there's 47. The tape is picking up. See what I mean, guys, about the tape picking up like that? Let's see if it picks up a little bit quicker. Let's see if we can make the move into the $0.50. 47 seller here of note that we can't shake, at least for the moment, but we've been up this before. We've got a higher low on the current 5-minute candle. I'm looking for that test of 155, which is the high of the day. Joseph.
A lot of good stuff going on. All right, we're going to head over to Adair momentarily. All right, Adair, what do you got for us?
Yeah, interesting little Apple headline here. Nothing massive, but interesting. Apparently, the company's announcing that the iPhone and iPad have been approved to handle classified NATO information. Unsure what any of the implications of this would be, but either way here, Apple, I guess, getting NATO classification approval, guys. Back to you.
When BlackBerry, Obama didn't want to give up his BlackBerry because, and remember, all the government guys were all using BlackBerry because they were known for their security, and nobody wanted to use Apple because they weren't known for their security at the time. How times have changed now. Apple's like, everything is based around user privacy.
Yep.
What?
I was going to say, you know that one story of me at the bank in Barrie?
Remind me.
So I had the iPhone.
Yeah.
So it's like one of the newer iPhones, and I'm walking down.
Sorry, keep talking. I'm
walking down the stairs to go to the bathroom at the bank in Barrie. You remember the club, the bank, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And she's like, hey,
I was thinking the bank, the actual bank.
No,
yeah. My bad. Yes. Now I remember very vividly. Yes,
exactly.
My man, Wes y'all saying LASC. Let's take a look at LASC. Oh, nice breakout, Wes y'all, man. I didn't forget your name today, did I? My man, yeah, this is breaking out. It's a little light on volume, but it's not, not LSC, LASC. Nice breakout there, claiming the dollar earlier, not really slowing down. It's a 114 high. Be on the lookout here, man, especially with the volume picking up, relatively speaking. We're getting about 75, 72,000 shares per 5-minute candle. So be on the lookout. Nice breakout, though, on LASC. You can call you Wes. I can.
I want to show you that you read this. Look at this BS here.
Should I read it?
Yeah, we don't need to read it out loud.
Dana White's empire of testosterone now stretches to the White House, being reported by the Wall Street Journal. Brother, you can't take mainstream media like to heart, right? They got to get clicks. Yeah, I know. I don't think that's what they mean, though. I think they mean the bro culture and kind of like that whole thing. What I think some people would call toxic masculinity. I wouldn't call it that, but that's what some people would say. In any event, we're going to keep an eye here on AEHL. It's topping tail. It's still holding higher lows. I don't know how to feel about this one, as well as NVAX seems to be finding resistance at the $0.25. It's not exactly making lower lows, pardon me. So I'm just going to continue to hold this until it forces me out, Joe. But I'm going to load up these two together, AEHL and NVAX. That way I can keep an eye on them together. AEHL is on the NQ, right? Yeah, perfect. And then we'll switch circle to this one, CRCL. And that's not on the NQ, that's on the NY. I didn't know that. All right, so there we go. Now we can set up and we can start the news if you are ready, Sia. Good to go, she says.
Sorry about that. We know it. Nvidia reported its Q4 results yesterday. The revenue hit $68.1 billion, up 73% year over year, and net income at $43 billion, which is a 94% rise. Now, adjusted EPS was 162 versus 153, which was expected. Revenue was $68.13 billion, as I said, versus the $66.21 that was expected, which is up 73% year over year. And net income, as we know it, nearly doubled to $43 billion, which is $1.76 a share versus the $22.1 billion from last year. And data center revenue, $62.3 billion versus $60.69 billion, which was expected, up 75% year over year. And now accounts are over 91% of total bases. Networking revenue came in at $10.98 billion, which is 263% up year over year. And a strong demand for NVLink and Spectrum X Ethernet switches.
The comments, guys. All right, here's what I like and here's what I don't like. I like, obviously, the increase in revenue, pretty exponentially, beating all the expectations. Fantastic. I mean, nobody can complain about this. They hold on to their gross margins. But there are two things that come immediately to mind. I mentioned them in the morning. Combined, from their data center revenue is $62.3 billion. Their total revenue is $68.13. So we know that the concentration in the segment. That's fine. That's not my complaint. My complaint is when you look at that $62.3 billion data center revenue, approximately 50% of that $62.3 billion comes from four names: Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft. They've got a lot of money, so it's not a problem, right? But what if they stop buying as much because they got sick of paying Nvidia's 70% gross margins and do what we already know they're doing, which is to create their custom chips? Alphabet's doing it with TPUs. Amazon's doing it with Trainium, and I forget the name of Microsoft's, but they're doing it as well. So what happens? Well, they can look for other customers, especially if they can get the U.S. government to give them more license to sell overseas. I'm personally thinking about the Middle East. Fine. But does the Middle East have the same type of scale, or anywhere else, except for China, of course, that the hyperscalers do? That is my main concern there, that there is so much concentration risk with companies who can kind of create on their own. That's my first, take of that, Joey. What I do like is the networking revenue really, really booming. And that's something that we've heard very little about. Photonics, we've been talking about. I gave you guys LITE. LITE is a ticker. It's a photonics company, and it's been rocketing up lately. Nvidia obviously doing it with their NVLink Spectrum X Ethernet switches. That headline, Joey, that networking revenue up 263% year over year.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that I think. So we're essentially talking about the king of inference, and I think that's what's going to hold them, essentially allow them to keep the dominance within the space. Shrivan, I know you mentioned the point that, like, hey, a lot of these hyperscalers are looking to start building their own chips. Yeah. But what I really like about NVIDIA is just that obviously the head start that they have on on everybody else, 100%. Right? Oh, so again, we're not going to compare it to Meta and their digital ad revenue, but it's pretty close because a lot of that is coming from one specific stream, NVIDIA, right? It's very good point. Yep. So I think that's really important to know because their gaming and PC segments are kind of just being brushed off to the side right now. Quarter over quarter, negative 13%, but year over year, 47%. But it's just a fraction of the total revenue, $3.7 billion. And then the automotive and robotics is growing at a modest pace, quarter over quarter, 2%, and then year over year, only 6%. I mean, we're talking about phenomenal numbers, and this stock sliding at the lows around 5%. And the guidance over an X amount of years is that they're bringing in hundreds of billions of dollars. I think that they're going to remain the king of the stock market for quite some time, with some competition from Google. I think it's going to be a neck-and-neck race between the two.
All right, let's go to Adair for her take.
Yeah, I think one thing I do have to mention, because it hasn't been really discussed yet today, is just the way this release happened. Sean knows what I'm talking about. Brendan knows what I'm talking about. Obi, who's not here, knows what I'm talking about. Now, NVIDIA is incredibly timely with their earnings releases. If it says 420, which it always does, it comes out at 420, except for yesterday. We're waiting. There was a number that was released on X, and this number sounded incredibly close to what NVIDIA would be reporting. In fact, the data center revenue and the gross margins were identical. So I read the number, and I was, as you guys know, you guys are here with us. I was telling you guys, I was like, hey, this isn't official yet, but this is circulating, seems pretty close to accurate. Yeah, so it's interesting about that. Now the report comes out at 4:31:17. It doesn't come out right at 4:31 on the dot. Now I bring this up because when SMCI had its delayed report, that came out right on the dot at 4:52 p.m., which made me think, and I still stand by this, that it was a pre-released report at 4:52, and we were just, you know, they got the estimated time wrong. That happens sometimes. NVIDIA releasing, like, this was clearly not a pre-planned release. NVIDIA just pressed punch, you know, scalped it, hoped, and then sent it out, which makes me think that maybe there was a leak with these results. Given, A, the language they use is very similar to how NVIDIA talks about, for example, record data center revenue, record whatever revenue. Anyways, this isn't really that relevant. I just think it's interesting to note. I do think NVIDIA's earnings got leaked. The company panicked, and they released their own earnings a little bit later because that was clearly not a pre-scheduled release. That being said, I mean, here's the fiscal 2026 revenue for NVDA, $216 billion, nothing to slouch at for the year. And we talked a lot about this, and I know there's another chart I'm going to show in a second that really backs up something Brennan was talking about in terms of growth here for NVDA. But to go to data centers, I mean, I think just the growth is escalating clearly on data center revenue. But overall, NVIDIA revenue growth also trying to get a little bit of an uptick. We've been stagnant at that roughly 60% area for a while, so getting back into the 70s. Obviously, you can't always like have this exponential, crazy 200% growth. That isn't really sustainable. But if we can get some kind of, you know, curve in the growth, I think that's a good look. So that is my little rant here about NVDA as we send you back over.
One more thing here.
Yeah, Joey.
One more thing here, Shreve.
Yes, sir.
Matt Tamara's, him and I have been going back on NVDA. He's like, hey, I don't know. You're right. That's not exponential
I like the
growth.
civility of your conversation is very notable between you and him. Civility, look at what he says. Disagree, but I respect your opinion.
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah,
Exactly, 100%. And he's right. It's not the exponential growth that we've seen in 22, 23, and so on.
Right.
But look at the pace it's still holding on to. You know how hard that is to be sustained? And he's 100%, the individual's 100% right. They're just massive numbers. But the street likes really big numbers. And I think that's why this name is going to remain dominant. You can't, who's going to complain? We're not in the triple digits, but you're at 98% net income, 94% net income growth, 75% year over year in the data center. You're still growing at a substantial rate. It's just not as exponential because you've gone through that growth cycle, but it's just the fact that they have the ability to maintain this for that long is why I've really liked the name for the long
I respect that. All right, Sia, what do we got next?
We've got Intrinsic and Alphabet next. So after 5.5 years of developing its technology at Alphabet's Moonshot factory, Intrinsic has become an independent Alphabet company in its other division as of July 2021. So what's happening here is that the move is a shift from experimental R&D towards enterprise scale commercialization. And the Alphabet has announced on Wednesday that the company will be folded into Google itself. So Intrinsic's flagship product, Flow State, is a web-based platform enabling robot application development without extensive manual coding. And the platform will reduce reliance on highly specialized engineers and simplify certain deployment across robotic systems. So Intrinsic will also be leveraging Gemini models, Google Cloud, and will work closely with Google DeepMind.
All right, what I like about it initially is it's not proprietary to Google's own robotics. If you believe the reports, it's designed to work across different robot brands and hardware. And we know that there's many different companies that are all pushing for that, whether you're talking about Boston Dynamics, I know I'm gonna miss many of them here, as well as RR, Rich Tech Robotics. We've got obviously Tesla with their Optimus. So I do like that. I don't anticipate Tesla is gonna wanna use Google software, but the point is, it gives these OEM manufacturers who could build the exoskeleton, the body, and then the brain would be governed by a company like Google, who could really, spend the resources to get this done properly. It'd probably be a little bit harder for a smaller company to be able to do something like that. I also like how it's going to leverage Gemini models. It's also going to leverage Google Cloud. So it's going to be updated. It's going to have a good LLM. Obviously, we know how much Gemini has improved. And Google Cloud, you're going to be able to reference different data that's sitting on the cloud rather than sitting locally. Now, I know that puts some people off because of the privacy concerns, but we've seen Apple do this, right? We've seen Apple use their, remote LLMs on the cloud where there is a secure network, this, that, and the other. So I don't mind this too much. I'd like to see, you know, some sort of physical demonstration of what it looks like. Right now, it's super abstract. Before we get Joey's opinion, we got to send it back to Adara.
I have more updates here with regards to Iran. Again, this is on watch if you're trading oil or just overall to kind of know how the situation's looking. Reportedly, according to an Axios reporter posting on X, White House envoys Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff were disappointed by what they heard from the Iranians in their morning negotiation. Apparently, the evening session is still ongoing, but either way, it looks like White House envoys were not too happy with this Iran conversation. Guys, back to you.
Thank you very much for that, Adara. And we really want to remind you guys that the Trader TV Academy is live, right? And we're super pumped about this. Like, you have no idea what kind of effort went into making this, right? So let's go ahead today and have a look at some of the different things. Look at Neil posting. Neil, this is your morning mix, correct? Is this the morning mix? The stock part of the morning mix. Thank you. So Neil giving his analysis of how he viewed Nvidia, silver, and SoFi. Look right below that, right? The Katina man. Look what he says. Thinking short. After the report from Nvidia today, I look to see if we can hold that 196.50 area. Guess what, Katina man? We're $10 below that 196.50 area. And so somebody, if they took this, they're $10 in the money on this. And look what else he wrote. Keep your eye on the triple Qs here for a short. Guess what? The Qs are down almost 2%. So the Katina man giving you the fire, Neil giving you the fire, and then basically, you know, I can't provide that kind of fire, but what I can provide you guys is my morning note. So if you're part of the campus program, you're part of the academy program, you will be able to get my morning note, of course, free of charge. That is part of the tariff that you will pay there, Joey. But also, we're going to be able to give them clear insights into, you know, the different gateways that you've got on there, what each gateway means. I know you're all about your FREX now. They'll be able to learn about that, right? They'll be able to learn about all the different methodologies that we got to learn on the floor.
And you know what? That's one thing. That's where I kind of lacked, because I was using a platform at home where it's just like you hit the button and bang. You didn't get a really understanding of the rebates, how much you're going to pay on this gateway, how much you're going to receive on this one. And I think that's something that's really important to know. And every day I'm still learning. We typically come in, it's like, oh, we just want to hit ARCA, even though that's one of our favorite and a highly liquid one. Exactly. But there's other gateways that you can use. I know, yeah, there we go.
He loves his ARCA. Yeah,
so do I, though. So do I, man. Yeah. That's what the majority of my keys are. But there's things outside of ARCA, and you can use things like Sharif talking about FREX that I was learning about as well too. Your Edge A's, your Edge X's. There's a vast array of gateways that you can use where you're starting to collect a rebate on X amount of shares and everything along those lines. And I didn't know about any of that because I was just using a feature called Smart Routing. It just hits you, but you don't know really essentially what you're getting involved with.
All right, there goes AEHL through the $0.50. Let's wet the beak. It's struggling with the $0.50 again. There's 52. Sorry, CA, just give us 1 sec. Let's see if we can resolve this. 52 showing up here with an aggressive seller. All right, we added several times into AEHL because it was holding the 10 EMA. NVAX is on the move up as well. I am concerned about the 40 penny area on NVAX. It's showing 37s now. Let's see how this resolves. I've got a bias here that we break above that 50 penny area and we really get going. Well, I'd like for that to happen. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be getting in. 51s showing up here, so now they're selling a little bit lower than it was before. Recall, AEHL is up 192% and looking to do it live. There goes NVAX, taking out all my orders into the high. We added into this one as well. 45s, now we're posting at 50. What do we got? We got 27s on the VAX. We're going to post, pardon me, at 57s. So we got a couple of trades on here that finally are working. Let's keep an eye now to see, number one, can we actually squeeze into $2? Let's not even get too excited here. $2 on AEHL. We can barely clear the $0.50, but if we clear the $0.50, I'll have a bias that by the time the bell rings, this will be, or have had a touch at 2. So let's pack the patience over here and send it back to Sia.
Oh, hold on.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. No, it's all right. Google, a couple points that I wanted to make.
All right.
I asked you the other day, I'm like, hey, you watch these the robots being manufactured in China.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Okay,
I was talking to you.
Yeah,
and I'm like, man, these things are doing kung fu. It
Amazing,
looks absolutely
bro.
amazing.
Yeah.
But you're like, hey, Joe, they don't necessarily have the brain. And then that led to the question of me asking you, what do you think is better?
Sorry, Joey, I got to interrupt. Sorry, brother. AEHL is going to halt. Bro, I'm sorry. There it is. There it goes into 66. This is going to be another halt up if we can get another 5 or 6 seconds like this. 166 halt level. Sorry to interrupt you, Joe. I just wanted to point that out. Go ahead. No, I agree with you completely. On that.
So then I like this play from Google, essentially not necessarily worrying about the hardware. You can just implement the software into the hardware.
That's great. I didn't even know this thing existed when you and I had that conversation, so clearly you were right. There it is, guys. We are halted up on AEHL, $1.65. The top just showing me 166 now. Let's pack the patience here, see if we can ride this up a little bit more. Well, Jose, what do you want me to do, bro? It was halting, so step off. See ya.
Amazon has lost its latest attempt to block 2 UK class action lawsuits that are worth up to 4 billion euros. So these cases will be proceeded on an opt-out basis, and meaning that the claimants are automatically included unless they opt out. One case that was led by competition law academic Andrea Stefan represents 200,000 plus third-party retailers, which is valued up to 2.7 billion euros. And a separate case worth up to 1.3 billion euros was filed on behalf of millions of consumers, and claims are that Amazon's practices inflate prices or distort competition due to its upper hand or dominance. And Amazon's defense was that it has previously stated that the claims are without merit and legal proceedings are not clearly mentioned and are at the early stages as of now, and the damages are not yet talked about or discussed. But I do want to talk about another headline with Amazon here, that Amazon Leo is partnering with Vanu Inc. to help bring high-quality internet to rural communities across Africa. So Vanu will use Amazon Leo to connect rural southern Africa, where 40% of the population lacks connectivity, and low Earth orbit satellite systems will generate up to $16.9 billion in annual economic benefits for southern Africa.
That's a good look, Sia. What I'm looking at here are the allegations that they were manipulating the buy box, right, to favor sellers that are using Amazon logistics and delivery services. And I got to tell you, I kind of believe that, right? I mean, think about it. Don't you want to prop up the sellers who are paying you more to use your logistics and delivery, and then kind of subordinate the ones who are not because you're not making as much money off them? I mean, to me, this rings true. I don't have evidence other than what is, been shown so far. They argue Amazon leveraged their marketplace dominance to disadvantage independent sellers. Would anybody be really surprised by that if that turned out to be true? I personally wouldn't, right? So, they're just looking at their dollars and cents, brother. I
think so. Yeah. I find the inflation thing a little odd because I find everything is slightly cheaper on Amazon. So I don't know how you feel about that. I was also reading about an antitrust that Apple and Amazon are going through in Spain as well too, which they got slapped with in 2020. I think it was 2023 is amounting up to 150 billion million euros or something along those lines. So this doesn't surprise us, Shreve. No. It's another day with Europe going after the mega cap news.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, Europe, it does what they do. I mean, what Joseph is referring to there is kind of this pattern that I think a lot of people have been noticing, where the European regulators take an aggressive stance with American tech, and have very, very lofty fines. If you look at the Digital Markets Act, SSE, you know what they can charge as a fine? 10% of global revenue, not European revenue, but global revenue. That's insane. I think that could probably, set a company back years if they actually got the full weight of that. Just before we go back to Sia, can't get it right, 929. Love the name, brother. Feel that on days. $2 super chat. Any thoughts on AES earnings? Have a great day. Thank you for the kind words. I hope you have a fantastic day as well. I'm looking here at NVAX. I'm not liking the way that this is looking anymore, so I am packing the patience. All right, take a look here at AES. Let's have a look at that for the OG. What is any thoughts on AES earnings? I don't know anything about the company. AES Corp, energy company, market cap of 11.4 billion, operate 4 segments: renewables, energy infrastructure, new energy, and utilities. They include solar, wind, energy storage, and hydro generation. Utility segment includes in Indiana, Ohio, El Salvador. Energy infrastructure segment includes nat gas, liquid. Man, they have their hand in every freaking cookie jar. Jeez Louise. I have to digress, sorry, because what's it called is open. AEHL is open into a new high of day of 167. We're going to take profits here. Just allow me a second, brother, to resolve some of these trades before I look at that name for you. I'm going to go ahead and post as well at 69er, and then we're going to post at 74, see if we can get something in and around there. But this is a good-looking daily chart. If you look at it from some of the area lows, I definitely like that triple bottom at $10. Didn't hold strictly, but you get that move. It's been on a prolonged downtrend, though, if I can say so. This is the weekly on it. Oh, my God, that's the mother of all double tops. Into 30. We're still putting in lower highs. It feels like we may have broken above that, though, with a nice prolonged downtrend. I don't know anything about the fundamentals. I'm just giving you a technical look here. It looks like you may have broken that trend. You've reclaimed the 200 moving average on the daily, and now you're at the 200 moving average, exponential moving average on the weekly. You've got a lot of topping tails, though, through that 200, which means that the sellers are certainly looking at that as well. You get once, twice, OB, he is the one thrice, and then another fourth, all through 17, all of which rejected. So you can kind of feel that that $17 level, at least locally, is a hard row to hoe. Let's go back here into the daily. We're above the 50 on the daily. We're above the 200 EMA, above the 200 SMA, and we've been putting in higher lows and higher highs. I want to say since February, for a year. For a year, this has been putting in higher lows and higher highs. I like the technicals on this, but I would, if you were asking me how I would trade it within this range. I'd be picking it up at around the lower end of the range, 14.75, 15, and then selling a piece for the dream above that. There goes AEHL again into another area high. We're going to cancel that order. We're going to take it here. Let's go ahead and set it up at 77s now. AEHL is going. It's not gone yet, but we did have a bias that this was going to hit 2, so we're going to pack the patience and see how that goes. Thank you very much for the super chat. Oh, what an aggressive sell. Right down into 65, 55, but that's the breakout level. Look at all the topping tail candles into 55. Holds it, trying to reclaim into 60. Be on the lookout here. I get out if it loses 50. Here comes 50. We're out, and there it's going to halt down. What an aggressive move down. 173, high a day, halt parameter showing its face now at $1.51 exactly, Joseph. 3, 2, there it is. All right, now let's take a quick look at NVAX. Into the $0.50 it goes. Can't shake the seller at the $0.50. We're posted at 51s. Let's pack the patience. See ya.
Talk about Salesforce. Strong quarter here, guys. Adjusted EPS at $3.81 per share versus $3.04 that was expected. Revenue came at $11.2 billion versus $11.18 billion. 11.20 billion versus $11.18 billion that was expected, which is up 12% year over year. And this is the fastest quarterly revenue growth in 2 years. Net income has risen to $1.94 billion, which is 2.07 per share, from $1.71 billion a year ago. So it has also announced $50 billion in new share repurchases, with CEO Mark Benioff calling current levels low prices, and stock is down 28% in 2026 versus the S&P 500, which is up 1%. Benioff noted Salesforce is very under-leveraged, signaling certain balance sheet flexibility that we're seeing here. The AI strategy was annualized Agentforce AI revenue that exceeded $800 million.
So, I mean, let's just be honest about it. This is a pretty good report, right? Sure. I mean, they have everything going for them in the current quarter. I think why they've been selling off, and you and I have been talking about this, I think, for the better part of a year, that they are ripe for disruption if you believe where AI is going. Funny enough, though, they're being disrupted by AI agents, and they were one of the first companies to embrace AI agents through Agentforce.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you caught the call yesterday.
I typically do. I didn't catch that. I didn't listen to Benioff last night.
He's an interesting guy. I like him, right? I like him too. He was basically making this point. He's like, SaaS-mageddon, software-mageddon, we've been through it before, we survived it, we came out on top, this is just more of that. Yeah. I see his point, but I'm also cautious. Why? Because we didn't have the level of AI in 2020 when he was referencing this point, right? And that's the point he was trying to make, right? I mean, fastest quarterly revenue growth in 2 years. They got cash up the yin-yang. They increased their net profit. They almost took home $2 billion in profit. That's not gross, that's net, right? I mean, who can complain about that? And they're putting... On the quarter, that's what I find somewhat comical. I mean, so we talk about the Intels and eventually there's just the continuous slide, but these massive companies aren't going to turn around on a dime. But this is what you want to see when you are slowly starting to turn things around, right? Yeah. Like, we're looking at full year 2027, $45 to $46 billion. Like, are you kidding me? Does this stock deserve to be down 40% off of its previous highs? I mean, we're in high single-digit growth in the quarter and year over year, but it's still growing globally. Asia Pacific up 13% year over year, right? You have Europe up 13% year over year as well, too, and the Americas up in that high single digit. Yes,
so
sir.
I think that this stock, the stock market tends to over-exaggerate. We know that there's this disruption being involved, but I like what Benioff's doing, and the numbers aren't going to lie, and they're not lying right now.
They're not lying.
I think that the stock is oversold.
Let me ask you something, though.
Yeah.
If the market values stocks with a forward-looking view, not the past, obviously, the past is
typically
done.
typically forward-looking.
Do you see the argument that this is exactly 47.5% off its highs?
Yeah, but again, if we're going to guide 10% increase in revenue over year, 45 to $46 billion, if we're forward looking, so I mean, we're pricing that in right now.
Right.
But if you're going to continue on that trajectory, I don't think that's bad whatsoever. Okay. Like, are we like I don't want to try to comprehend it, but we are literally selling a stock off 50% that is bringing in $45 billion approximately a year.
There you go. Yeah, I know.
You see what I'm getting at there?
I totally see what you're getting at, but my bias is here that the people who understand the software side of it, they're like, look, we can do what this company can do, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost, and you can in-house it, right? So you don't have to outsource it. And I think that's really what...
Benioff's going to implement, he's got to implement this stuff into Agentforce and the 360
But Joey, my point is, even if Agentforce can do a hell of a job at it, if you can bring that job in-house, localize it in-house, and don't have to pay.
And not have to pay this guy whatever.
You know what Brendo's running over there, my boy?
I will, Claude. Not all of it. But
we're doing it live here. We're doing it live in this office, let alone somewhere else. AEHL is open, $1.40 low. Here it comes into 155. It's trying to reclaim the 10 EMA. In fact, it's above the 10 EMA. Watch out for this one. I don't know if this one is done. We're going to keep an eye on it. But what are we talking about next, Sia?
Talking about Snowflake next, solid RPO growth here, but revenue of $1.28 billion, up 30.1% year over year, and adjusted EPS as 32 cents versus the 27 cents that was expected, and a revenue surprise of 2.4% versus the consensus estimates. And RPO is at $9.77 billion versus the $8.89 billion, which was estimated, which is indicating a strong forward revenue backlog and customer commitment. Product revenue is at $1.23 billion, above the $1.2 billion estimate, which is up 30% year over year. 733 customers with trailing 12-month revenue, which is more than $1 million. That is the 729 that was estimated.
So I like, okay, well, I think they have issues, you know, aside from the earnings, or right about uptime and stuff like that. But I think, you know, aside from that, if they can show it's a one-off incident and we can move past that, I like the RPOs. But, you know, RPOs, well, why does the market like RPO so much? Because it's kind of a leading indicator into revenue durability. But that's what the customer wants now. My concern always about RPOs is yes, it's a vision into the future, so to speak, but what if the status quo changes in the future so that the RPO that is available or that in demand now is no longer in demand in the future, especially with the developments in AI. So that's what concerns me a little bit about putting too much weight on the remaining performance obligations as, you know, a possible window into the future. Other than that, I don't really have too much to say about this company. Obviously, that they're very much relied on by the internet, as we've learned many times with these outages.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I will note, and I like this about Snowflake, is that they're getting a lot of new customers as well too. That's up 27% year over year, and 40% new customers added, 740 up to 40% year over year. So I mean, they're bringing on the clients, which is good. But this is another name that has been absolutely destroyed, from $280 peak down to $169. That's a 40% haircut in Snowflake.
All right, Sia, what are we talking about next?
We're talking about IONQ. This is one of my favorite stocks to talk about when I'm covering the small cap. The revenue came in at $61.9 million, which is up from $33.9 million last quarter and well above the expectations of $40.4 million. EPS at 32 cents, improved from 39 cents a year ago negative. Company also posted a net loss of $67.4 million, narrower than $73 million loss in Q4 of 2024. So now Q4 performance has exceeded the midpoint prior guidance by 55%, and the company has said that it is seeing continued demand from government and commercial clients. IONQ also secured a major contract with the U.S. Department of Defense, which is worth up to $151 million.
Yeah, I definitely like this. I like the government contracts. We've made this point with Palantir that government contracts tend to be a bit stickier and less transient than commercial clients, which are a bit more nimble. They can kind of bob and weave as things happen. Governments, a little bit less so. I like that. And you're going to need deeper pockets, especially for a technology that's nascent, that really doesn't have that, you know, huge revenue to drive behind it like we're talking about with Nvidia. I like this, Joey. I still feel we're a ways out, but
big time ways out.
Never really know with this stuff. There could be breakthroughs, there could be something, but I like the government revenue.
I know the government revenue, and also they're expanding. They're getting into Asia. They're selling the equipment apparently in Asia and Europe as well too. So I think that's really important to know. But what, again, I have a hard time. Yeah, it's fantastic. Revenue up to 130 million. That's 202% year over year. But they're still operating at a $510 million net loss year over year.
There you go.
So it's tough. I mean, the ride that the quantum space went over, I'm not going to say it's completely done. Sharif nailed it on the head. Is like, yeah, we're a little bit a ways away from kind of getting to maybe where the quantum computing space wants to be. And I remember you mentioned something about someone being extremely worried about the disruption within Bitcoin. With the quantum computing.
Yeah, and that's been a point that a lot of people have been making. There goes AEHL. We're back into the high of the day. Got in at 59s, just touched 73. We're in again. We're looking to do it live. We're looking for another move. Halt up 172. Limit up 172. We're showing the perimeter now. We're going to halt up here if we do another 5 or 6 seconds at this level. 172 halt. Let's 3, 2, 1. Come on, there we go. We're halted up again on AEHL. So this one, as soon as it breached prior bar high, I sniffed this one out. It holds a 10, rockets right back up. So we're involved in this one. We're looking to do a little bit more here. We're still holding some. Let's see if we can get back above that 173. Currently showing me 172 high of day. What do we got next, Sia?
Talking about C3AI next, Sharif. Management has cited weak execution in North America and in Europe, which is calling the performance rather disappointing here. But the CEO, Tom Sable, has acknowledged failure to close deals as planned, particularly in certain key Western markets here. There's been 130 $135 million in expense cuts, including $60 million from a 26% headcount reduction here, and flattening sales organization while accelerating development of agentic AI across business units. Cost savings are also expected to be fully realized starting 2H FY27. Now, Q4 revenue is projected to be at between 48 million to 52 million, which is well below the consensus of 77.272 million. Full year revenue is expected to come in at between 246.7 million to 250.7 million versus the consensus of 298.74 million. And management has declined to provide strong near-term acceleration signals. But the CFO has confirmed that 90% of the revenue has come in from subscriptions just this quarter, and the other 10% has come in from professional services. So federal bookings has also increased 134% year over year, which is accounting for 55% of total bookings.
Sia, this company's got the best ticker in the game, right? But the thing is, I don't know if what they're going to be able to do is anything better than some of the hyperscalers, and it looks as if they're really missing targets here. As Sia mentioned, weak execution on this side of the pond and the other side of the pond, and the CEO basically, look, we can't close any deals, especially in the Western markets where, let's cut the crap, the majority of the money is. Right? Restructuring plans are never really good for investor sentiment, as it means that what is being done and has been done was not the right thing to do. It's basically just an admission of guilt. CFO did confirm that 90% of revenue comes from subscriptions, which could be good. I'm assuming subscriptions are a higher margin. What I want to know, though, is why would, well, it looks like they're using agents here and stuff like that. Do they have any defensible moat that the hyperscalers, the Googles, the Amazons, the Microsofts are unable to do? Are they able to offer price discounts? Are they able to kind of provide better customer service? What the hell is their moat? Why would we go through them? Because they have a good ticker?
Yeah, I think that's what happened with this name at the beginning. It's just during that AI bubble and AI or I shouldn't say bubble, I guess that AI pump is that this name had the ticker AI. Right. And everybody's like, okay, we got to get involved with it because it was worth $48 at one point. It was, bro. I mean, they're doing a CEO shuffle as well, too, because of the lack of execution. This name has not been performing good whatsoever, down 83% from its 2024 highs, guys.
All right, Sia, what's next?
Do you want to?
Yeah, sorry, I had some commentary on this one actually with C3AI. Oh, it's doing the thing. I'll fix my mic. Yeah, so I just want to mention here, as Joe mentioned, the CEO shuffle. It already happened. It's been shuffled, and the timing of it is actually kind of sus. So let's talk about it. So Stephen Ahikian, I mentioned this before, he actually was part of the second Trump administration, Trump 2.0. Now, here's where the timeline is kind of hilarious. So September 2nd, 2025, he announces he's going to be stepping down from his role as a deputy administrator of the General Services Administration. Then on September 3rd, C3AI announces he's going to be their new CEO effective September 1st. So there's like a weird one-day overlap where he was both the CEO of this company and in the administration. I am not sure the legality of this, but either way, it's kind of funny. So I wanted to bring it up. Now, in terms of why I think the CEO transition to go off of what Joe was saying is relevant, is because unfortunately, founder and former CEO Tom Siebel, as mentioned there on the note, he had a lot of health issues near the end of the term. He was having some autoimmune issues, led to visual issues, and that was why the company was guiding really rough in the middle of 2025 because it was impacting the performance of the company, as he acknowledged himself. So it's like, I think it's unfortunate Stephen Ahikian here is in a situation where, and again, not Tom Siebel's fault, there were health issues, but there's just a lot of, I think, turmoil going on right now. And I think even with the CEO transition, it's going to take a while for this company to get its feet back under it. So interesting note there. I just wanted to opine and chime in on that for C3AI.
Move on to Paramount Global. PSKY has reported Q4 revenue of $7.51 billion, roughly in line with the expectations, and adjusted EPS of 13 cents ahead of its consensus estimates. And direct-to-consumer revenue is at $2.2 billion, which is up 10% year over year. And Paramount Plus revenue has grown 18% year over year, which is driven by subscriber growth and price increases. But TV media revenue has declined 5% year over year to $4.7 billion. And Skydance, led by, as we know it, David Ellison, has offered $31 per share to acquire Paramount. And this offer has followed months of strategic review and board evaluation. Warner Bros. Discovery has previously withdrew interest, and board has determined Skydance proposal represents its best path forward as of this.
Thank you very much. See you guys. AEHL is open. It's trading near the highs. There's a seller at 71, a high of 74. Watching here, looking for a possible exit. I've moved up my stop a little tiny bit below my entry, but I don't want to move it too quickly here because it's still showing me exactly what I want to see, which are higher lows. Now it is using essentially that $0.75 area as resistance, but I have a bit of a bias that this might see $2. So I'd like to see it through if possible. But to talk about this, you wonder why PSKY is so gung-ho to get in bed with WBD. I'm gonna give you my theory.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, which is, look at this, Joey. TV revenue declined 5%.
Yeah.
Okay. Advertising revenue continues to decline.
Yeah.
It's like down and to the right, right?
Yeah.
And then when you look at their other business here, direct to consumer revenue up 10%. Paramount Plus revenue, which is obviously streaming, up 18. So I think they basically are really looking at stacking the boat on their streaming so that they can get the Warner Brothers catalog rights, take those, put them on the streaming service, and really grow that business, even though they've got to pick up Warner's legacy media. I think they're kind of looking at that as just the cost of doing business.
So they can branch off of what Warner Brothers, obviously Warner Brothers Discovery has, and I agree with you on that front. And I don't know, it's weird because I feel like regardless of what they offer, that Warner Brothers is still going to sway towards Netflix. So I'm curious, is Paramount kind of just using up all its resources, just putting out these bids that may not even be offered, regardless of how potentially good they could be?
Good point,
I think they have to put something in so substantial, in my opinion, that is like, hey, we cannot deny, but I don't know if they're willing to go that far. With that being said, coming up next is going to be one of my favorite companies to talk about, but Paramount Skydance signing a deal with the UFC for a longer duration, no longer paying any pay-per-views. Is that going to be a complete table turner? I don't think so, but it's a step in the right direction. But like you mentioned, Sharif, a lot of the linear TV down and to the right, and even so, I think that Paramount is one of the secondary streaming services. I don't know if a lot of people are getting involved with it, because you start with Netflix, and then you probably, if you're having the kids, you have the Disney Plus, right? And then you have the Amazon Prime. You get an additional feature. If you're an Amazon Prime customer, you're getting the delivery free, pretty much essentially waived, and you have a streaming service. So I truly think that Paramount is fighting a losing battle right now. And Derek can maybe agree to the point I said, I don't know how much this is going to be taking into consideration with the merger aspect, but they didn't have any Grammy nominations or whatever it may be. Yeah, it was like 1 or 2 or something along those lines. Daryl would definitely get more involved with that, but I just think that Paramount is the inferior producer in my opinion. All
right, man. AEHL is dropping quite aggressively. I got out in the mid-60s for exactly that reason. You could just see the selling coming in. Limit down, guys, is 151. We're showing 54, 53. So be on the lookout. Possible limit down coming in here on AEHL. What do we got next, Sia?
We're talking about WBD. So there is certain revenue pressure, not looking good. Revenue is at $9.46 billion, which is down 6% year over year, but roughly in line with expectations. Net loss at $252 million, which is wider than the prior quarter's $148 million loss. And adjusted EBITDA at $2.216 billion. There's certain underlying operating profitability here, and streaming, 131.6 million global streaming subscribers, which is up 3.5 million quarter over quarter. And advertising revenue has fallen 9%, with roughly half of the Tide loss of NBA rights on Turner. And global linear networks revenue has declined 12% year over year.
And that's the thing. Advertising revenue falling 9%. Global, as you just said, see a global linear network revenue down 12%. Studio revenue down 13%. They're blaming it on content sales, right? And it's kind of being even pushed down further by the cost of sports, which is weighing obviously on the price or on their revenue, which is having an effect on sentiment. So I feel like, yeah. And you can kind of feel why Netflix wants to get the hell away from their legacy TV business. Well, it's because exactly what we just showed there, bro. I mean, which I don't really have much to say about WBD other than, you know, with the tie-up in Netflix, other than to comment about, you know, the decline in linear television and the dollars that come with it.
Yeah, I don't think like Warner Brothers, I mean, they have the DC universe, which it's okay. But I think where the real power lays is just that their HBO and HBO Max is where the real strength within the catalog is there, because I think that Netflix, and I'm almost positive that Netflix will do a significantly better job on the spin-offs than what Paramount can do. So that's why I really like the merger between, or the acquisition between Warner Brothers and Netflix, because we have a Night of Seven Kingdoms, really slow start, but started to turn out really good. And then you have the Euphorias, and then you have the House of Dragons, and all those HBO films that I think that Netflix will do a substantially better job at spinning off on.
All right, Adara, what do you think about WBD?
I mean, like, I'm an HBO fan, so I'm always going to be kind of biased here with regards to the content. But stepping aside from the content, I have two key points to make. Point one, reportedly Ted Sarandos meeting with Attorney General Pam Bondi today in Washington. That's the co-CEO of Netflix, to try to kind of, you know, get some conversations happening with regards to that merger. So that's interesting. That kind of shows maybe he's a bit scared. To be fair, I think he held his own pretty well in that, you know, Senate committee a couple weeks ago, but there are still going to be some concerns for a lot of people in terms of Netflix's, for lack of a better term, content and people calling it woke. So I think that was one of the biggest things that arose during that meeting. So yeah, I think talking to Pam Bondi will be interesting to see if we hear any reports of what happened there. Secondly, with our friends at WBD, and more with Paramount Skydance. Here's my main reason I don't think Paramount Skydance can negotiate a deal here. If you guys are familiar, and I'm not going to get into all the specifics because those who are not, like, you know, nerds of this stuff probably won't care, but there's this guy, Taylor Sheridan, he did Yellowstone and all of those, you know, old people in the country shows on PSKY. He is credited as part of the reason they even made Paramount Plus. Well, guess what? Paramount lost him to NBC Universal as of 2028 because they were not willing to pony up and even have any kind of negotiation with him. David Ellison kind of came in. He was like, that's okay. And they lost their biggest moneymaker at Paramount. So with that in mind, I don't even think they have it, the guts, the cojones, whatever you want to say here, to really kind of muster up and beat Netflix here. That's just my opinion. If you guys want to read about it, look up Taylor Sheridan, Paramount. It's a really interesting story.
Thank you very much. All right, Sia, what do we got?
Premier Sports and Entertainment Company, TKO Group Holdings. We're going to talk about this right now. Revenue at $1.04 billion, which is up 61.7% year over year, and adjusted EPS of 14 cents, beating the consensus of 12 cents. So now let's look at the detailed revenue breakdown. IMG segment, IMG revenue is at $395.6 million, which is up 20.6% year over year. From events, partnerships, and marketing, it stands at $285.1 million, and consumer licensing and other streams of revenue at $3.8 million, which is below the $5.9 million estimate. From the UFC segment, revenue is at $401.4 million, which is up 16.7% year over year. From media rights, $222.6 million, which is well above the estimate. And live events and hospitality at $72.2 million. From WWE segment, we have a revenue at $393.8 million, which is up 39.2% year over year. And media production and content at $221.2 million, which is up 41.5% year over year. Live events and hospitality at $68.3 million, 26.6% year over year, and partnerships and marketing at $35.8 million, which is up 5.7% year over year.
I can't speak enough on how much of a phenomenal job, in my opinion, Dana White has been as president of the UFC. This is such a fast-growing sport, but one thing, he's also made extremely strategic moves. And we're going to start things off with the Paramount deal, okay? We know that they were with ESPN+, but they signed this Paramount deal, multi-billion-dollar deal, which is not only going to increase the fighter pay, it adds more revenue into the company. Now, what he has done to hone in costs is the fight night. He's been doing this for quite some time, but if you're not aware that there's only the pay-per-views are in. But with the fight nights, he's displaying at the Performance Institute, and I think that's where he can really start to cover the cost. He's paying the fighters more. He's getting more value per seat when he's selling at the pay-per-view events, or sorry, not the pay-per-view events, but the massive UFC events, whether it be 327, 329, or whatever it may be. He's just doing the right things at the right time, and I think with this deal at Paramount is really what helped take the UFC to the next level. One, because you're going to get more individuals involved, because there's more viewers, because you're not having that pay-per-view style. It's just everything on a subscription base. So I really like what Dana White is doing, and the growth, you can see a double-digit across the board, essentially.
I want to ask you something, Joey.
Yeah.
Like, this is your world, obviously, so
Yeah.
I'm just putting the question out there. Is there another brand of, like, UFC that's making a move to try to take their fighters?
No, well, so what happens is if you don't sign with the UFC, you got the PFL. So, so there's like that secondary kind of fighting, like the PFL and Bellator, right?
Bellator.
But they combined it. They combined for a while. So Bellator, I don't believe is anymore, but PFL was that next stage. But the UFC will lose fighters, but they keep the best fighters.
They keep the best fighters.
So, like, if you take Dana off, he'll drop you. You can go over to the PFL by all means. Francis Ngannou, one of the best heavyweights, he let go of a superstar, but it's almost like the NFL.
He says that guy's crazy.
Yeah,
like, he would like ask for crazy stuff.
Can't be. Yeah,
I remember Dana talking about it specifically. Yeah.
Can't be in your right mind. Anyways, he was just not a very nice person, apparently, according to Dana White.
Okay.
But it's like the NFL. You drop a superstar, well, guess what? There's somebody right there to take your place and more than willing to do so.
And it's booming as a
sport. From the Dana White Contender Series, he makes sure he always has those up-and-coming prospects, and if you're really good fighting outside of the UFC, he'll give you that opportunity to get involved with the fight game.
And, like, I can only speak for my buddy, who's a wrestling fan. He's watching other brands now, not just WWE. There's other ones that are apparently quite good.
Yeah,
and they
what's
have
that other one?
I forget the name of it, bro. I can message him now.
Yeah, I know
He'll take 20 minutes to respond.
It's like the AEW, something, All Elite Wrestling.
Yeah, and it's a different shaped ring, right?
Yeah.
Dude,
I seen this one on the weekend going through just like the pay-per-views. There's this new bare knuckle boxing fighting league that they fight in a triangle, bro.
What, a triangle?
It's a triangle, so it's the smallest ring I've ever
looking
seen.
over.
You have nowhere to go.
What's this concoction? Unholy concoction.
You have nowhere to go. It's literally a triangle. It's insane.
That's amazing.
And a cute one at that.
There goes NVAX. Taking out some orders here. This one gave me lots of trouble, but we're doing well on it now. By the way, guys, we added the break of 50. I added at 46s. There it goes into 61s. Initial entry on this monster, 11.13. Add at the $0.25. Add again into 50. That's the good news. The bad news is AEHL. It's bleeding its own blood. It is on the way down. That's the second down halt in a row now on AEHL. I hope you guys are practicing sound risk management practicing sound risk management practices on this one, because it'll burn your face off, rip your face off. It'll do a lot more than that to your bank account. Trust me, bro. But anyway, guys, be careful with AEHL.
A couple more things here. A lot of people
Joey.
bringing up ONE FC. I agree. I like One, but that's more Asia specific, right? Like, so when we go into ONE FC, that's more Asia specific. And a cube, what I meant by is the triangle.
Understood, Joey. All right, Sia. What do we have next?
So we're going to talk about BIDU. Net profit has fallen 66% year over year to 2.56 billion yuan, missing the estimates of 3.18 billion yuan. Revenue has declined 4.1% year over year, and weakness is tied to ongoing struggles in online marketing and advertising. So AI-powered businesses, however, have grown 48% year over year in the fourth quarter, and AI cloud revenue has risen 39% year over year to 5.89 billion yuan. Also, Baidu Wenku, which is their knowledge platform, now has hit 200 million monthly active users as of December. A statement from the CEO, Robin Lee, was 2025 marked a pivotal year as AI became the new core at Baidu.
So, this is a Chinese stock. So, this is my opinion, they don't get a fair shake. There is a cap on these Chinese stocks that they can't seem to shake, because this is a really good story. I mean, look at this, Joey. Cloud revenue. I mean, some of our cloud service providers would be kind of envious of that 39% year-over-year growth, right? And then they've got autonomous, right? Ride hailing, completing 3.4 million rides. That's up 200%. Which is quite good. They're cutting costs. Always want to caveat that we don't want anybody to lose their jobs, but the market does celebrate financially the cutting of jobs. 6% of the workforce in 2025, so they were able to shore up costs. To me, this is a good stock, but when you look at the price, when you look at the chart, it's not good. It's not good at all. So you know, this is the weekly on Baidu. Look at this long-ass downtrend here, man. And we're never going to see those COVID highs again. Well, maybe not for a long time. $354. You could even make the argument back in 2018, that 270 area is anyway. So I personally, you know, the Katina Man says this all the time. He's not a fan of these Chinese stocks. I don't think the Katina Man dislikes them because of the way they're operating. It's just because there seems to be an invisible cap on some of the price. I don't know how you feel about this. I like their autonomous, and I think they're expanding in London as well, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, right, if they can overtake in the EU.